Oh, wow. I didn't realize I was muted. So anyways, God, to start all over again. Um, so, to explain why the hell I just started out of nowhere there, I was just sitting here, I'd come back, I was catching my breath because I was literally running in order to get all those chores done as quickly as possible so I could get back here and get back to doing this awesome lore run with you guys. And so I was catching my breath and eating a carrot while I waited for my Blood Furnace queue to pop up so I could be right back into the thick of it and get right back to where we cut off, right? And then we could talk more about the Blood Furnace. I actually like this dungeon, by the way. It's probably one of my favorite of the earlier ones. I tend to like a lot of the earlier dungeons in BC, a little more than some of the later ones. And then there's the Underbog, which I never want to see again. But anyways. So yeah, I was just sitting here waiting, and then in chat, all of a sudden, Sigma's like, "Oh no, I was gone. I missed the stream. Will Arsh ever stream again?" And the moment I saw that, even though I hadn't quite, wasn't quite ready yet, I figured I'll go ahead and hit go. And the moment I reached over to grab the mouse, my queue for Blood Furnace popped up. So, Sigma, thank you for making my Blood Furnace queue pop up. Now I'm going to finish my carrot. So I hope you guys have been entertained by the run so far. I have felt a few pause periods where I've just kind of run out of stuff to say. Pretty much all of it has been during the I can't even think of the name of the sudden. During the BC stuff. I'm kind of hoping that those problems go away once we get to later content where it's going to be a lot more story and a lot more dense. The density of story, the density of quest, the density of content is going to go up the further in we get. You know, pretty much from Wrath onward, it's going to be all all awesome all the time. So I forgive me for those of you watching on YouTube how I just kind of keep roaming into other topics. It's because I don't have anything to say about the current series of quests I'm doing. So it's like, well, why don't we talk about something else that's kind of related to this? Or someone in chat just asked something, so why don't we talk about that? You know, that kind of thing. Honestly, Magister, I do genuinely think that is a possibility, yes. Whether I want that to happen or not is a completely different thing. Like the person reading the story in me wants that to happen. I think that would be great story potential. The writer, I think I would say. The writer in me wants Moira to take over Ironforge. The Dwarven clans in general, all three of them. I want her to become the new queen. But the person in me who is the role player, you know, the person who's like the in-character perspective, is like, damn it, Moira? Really? I mean, I already have so much against so many of the Alliance leaders. Do we really have to have Moira getting even more into power? I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Hey, War Wager. Yes, I would, Casual. Legitimately, you can determine for yourself once you see me getting that far. I genuinely think they did some good stuff with Kata, and I genuinely think they did some good stuff with Pandaria. I will admit Warlords is a lot more contentious. The good stuff in Warlords, in my opinion, is great. The good aspects of Warlords are amazing, and I love going through the good stuff of Warlords. The bad stuff in Warlords is face-palmingly stupid. I don't know what... well, I know exactly what they were thinking there. But it's like, oh my god. And Last Echo, do you happen to have Livestreamer? Because I know that helps a lot for us non-partner streamers. Because, yeah. Because Twitch, you know, I'm a tiny little viewer. Oh, by the way, fun little fact, guys. So, no less than 4 times during this lore run, I have been whispered by a bot who is like, hey, it's actually a well-written bot, but the format of the text gives it away. And the fact that it's trying...
is an arrogant fool. I will crush him and reclaim Outland as my own.
So that was Meg Theridin there. Oh, I meant to look up his voice actor. Hang on a second. He's a good voice actor. He does a few other things. Usually not video game related. But it's the same guy that voiced him before. Give me a moment. Earl Bowen. Earl Bowen is the guy who does them. He's also the guy who is the narrator for the starter cutscenes. You may recognize him as the psychiatrist from the Terminator series. To name one immediately recognizable thing I could say.
Anger,
right off the top of the head.
hate.
Uh-oh, it's the Maker!
These are tools I can use.
So once again, this is a Moarg. The Moarg are the tech-smiths of the Legion. But again, remember, this is not a Legion facility. This is the Illidari facility.
Stay away from me.
I only point that out. Ooh, that's a one-handed though. Damn. I only point that out to emphasize a point. This is how much Illidan has been able to convert those to his cause. Also, he's got a bunch of orc captives that he's been working on. I'll talk more about that in just a second, because first, I want to answer a question. So it's what Hylisk says, I actually tend to agree. Or at least I assume I agree with you. I like the idea of there being a Sylvanas on the Alliance. I like the idea of there being an amoral or immoral, character in power, challenging the Alliance from within, just like we at the Horde have Sylvanas, who is challenging us from within, and has been since Cataclysm. And I will discuss exactly why she's been challenging us since Cataclysm once we get there. Pretty much as soon as we finish Wrath, really. So yeah, this whole area, this is a fun place. This facility is pretty horrible. This is pretty much the Fel equivalent of a lot of the more horrible laboratories we've had. So they put people into those things right there. And they just kind of bathe them in this continuous Fel energy that flows up through the device. Now, here's the really fun part about it. So the way it works is they don't just have them drink the blood. Again, I kind of mentioned that before. That just results in a weaker Fel orc. They want these orcs to be superior, stronger than your normal orcs, right? So they are actually tampering with the blood, tinkering with it in order to try and make it more potent, right? And, no, there's something else, Cashel. Remind me to answer that in a second, because I got like 3 questions to catch up on. And so these grips right here, those aren't there to, like, imbue you or anything. Those are there to keep you restrained, because having Fel power directly pumped into you, both in terms of the blood and the energy you're bathing in, is apparently a really disturbing and horrible thing. So they have to literally chain down the people that they're pumping full of Fel energy. Now, on the one hand, you're probably like, oh my god, that's terrible for all those people they've kidnapped in order to force it upon them. And that's true. We do know that several Mag'har have actually been kidnapped and specifically turned into Fel orcs in that same process. The thing that horrifies me about it is there's plenty of willing people who still are totally willing to go through being chained up and having tons and tons of Fel energy pumped into you, to the point where you're going through nightmarish, hellish pain the entire time, which... That's a hell of a thing to think about. Anyways, so, do you think there will be bloodshed during the takeover of Ironforge? Probably, even though there doesn't need to be. It is actually very likely that Moira could take over bloodlessly. It's one of the things I like about her character. She's intelligent. She is a politician who has good press. There's actually a trope for that. It's like a villain with good press or something like that. In other words, people don't really realize she's a villain in character. Most of the people actually support her. And one of her biggest modus operandis is to get the support of people. One of the reasons she is so influential is because so many people think she should be in charge. So it's very likely, I think, as a writer, that she could have a bloodless revolution, so to speak. Not even a revolution, just naturally sliding into control. You know? Kind of like Di Ravello in Just Cause 3. Okay, that's a bad example. So in lore, what happened with Illidan? So the in-lore explanation is the Skull of Gul'dan. We don't, as I've been...
How long do you believe your pathetic sorcery can hold me?
We don't exactly know what's going on with the Skull of Gul'dan. I mentioned that earlier. We don't know if it actually had Gul'dan's essence in it. We don't know if it's just a powerful corruptive artifact. We don't know. What we do know is that it's a very corruptive thing, regardless of what its actual nature is. The generally accepted in-lore explanation for Illidan turning evil and, let's be honest with ourselves, stupid, was the influence of the skull of Gul'dan, warping and twisting his mind. Idiots! Now, okay, so I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, well, wait a minute. I remember a quote from a dev from years ago who said Illidan was completely warped and twisted because he lost to Arthas. That person who said that, the original developer, is an idiot. They're one of the people who didn't actually read up on the story, one of the former camp of writers who are part of the Alzheimer problem. So, don't listen to that. just don't, okay? Just don't. So now to answer Darker Souls' question. Good parts of Warlords. The leveling. The actual quests were fun, engaging, interesting, varied, had lots of lore, had lots of setting primarily, but also a great deal of primary plot. There was a huge amount of characterization and character growth in Warlords. It's probably one of the biggest things Warlords did story-wise. The actual plot was fairly threadbare. There's the enemy, go beat them. But the aspect of fleshing out the characters and learning more about the people that we actually got to learn about, that was great. I loved that. And so I really, really enjoyed the story of Warlords. I enjoy Garrisons quite a bit until you get to max level. I'll be talking about that more in depth when we get there. I love the aesthetic. I love the music. I love the overall feel of the place. As much as there are a few dungeons, and that is a complaint of mine, I like all of the dungeons. There's none of the dungeons I actually dislike amongst the Warlords dungeons. And... ding. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I will say this, the raids, in my opinion, are actually very well designed and very enjoyable. So... well, okay, that's a lot.
Let him loose! He'll kill us all!
Except for Hellfire Citadel. All the other raids I actually thought were really well designed.
Interrupt. What is this? What have you done? You'll ruin everything!
So now, since I've been answering questions, let's go ahead and explain.
Come closer.
And burn!
Good luck. You'll need it.
Oh, hey. I'll go ahead and roll on that. Yeah, I'll totally roll on that. Sure, Nicolas. It's purely aesthetics. I'm sorry, Last Echo, I wasn't prepared for that one. I just don't like the design of the... crap, I'm an idiot. I just don't like the design of the Horde Garrison. It feels too open and too... thrown together. Like, you know what I mean? We're the Horde, and I get that whole, you know, rough, brutish look is our thing, but our rough, brutish look has always been massive, you know, implantments of destruction and huge fortified walls and big cannons and big... But instead, we just get, like, a bunch of... Like it looks like it was thrown together. It looks like a camp rather than a fortress, you know what I mean? And I wanted a fortress. I wanted a massive edifice. I mean, for God's sakes, the fortress in the Borean Tundra in Howling in Northrend, that's what I wanted. I wanted that massive iron fortress of awesome, and instead I got a bunch of sticks. Exaggerative, of course. The Alliance Garrison, by contrast, feels like an Alliance Garrison. It feels like an Alliance, you know, Alliance fortress, a citadel built out in amongst the trees. And I also enjoyed the blue aesthetic quite a bit. That's it. That's the only reasons why I prefer the Alliance Garrison. I guess I should say, I also really don't like the Horde Garrison music. It grates on me a bit. The Alliance music, by contrast, I really enjoy the Alliance Garrison music. So, so let's go ahead and explain what the hell we just did in Blood Furnace, shall we? And we're going back to turn in. So the Blood Furnace is where they've been, like you said, it's a Fel soldier, a Fel magic soldier factory. They're literally making new troops on a regular basis there within, right? Oh, that would have been awesome, Magister. Unfortunately, garrisons were originally supposed to be race-specific, and then they threw that out the window, but whatever. So this wonderful place is actually where they're doing that. The just to give an emphasis on how powerful Magtheridon is, see around Meatfist, he is so powerful that the energy that they're pouring through him here is actually causing the walls to seep Fel magical energy. That is just how much power is being pumped through this place, and all of it is coming from him and from the blood that they are experimenting on from him. So what we're doing is we're going down to the middle basically to defeat the Breaker and his other warlocks who are trying to keep Magtheridon chained. Now, the idea was doing so, or not chained, I'm sorry. Here's the general strategy. We're going to remove some of the chains on Magtheridon, but not all of them. Because we don't want Magtheridon to get loose. I mean, God, no. But we do want the Illidari to lose access to the blood in order to make more Fel Orcs. So if we remove some of their control over Magtheridon, they'll have no choice but to reinforce trying to get him back under control, which sets them back months in production and gives us a chance to move forward. There will be more story of that in the future when we get to Shattered Halls, and eventually to Magtheridon himself.
Be safe.
So we go ahead and turn all this stuff in. And yeah, as he points out, they're doing this to Mag'har orcs, like I said, unwilling converts. So he's worried, the Horde is worried because they might be able to do us to us, you know, aka green orcs, or, you know, whatever you want to call that. And for some reason, they don't want to be turned into Fel orcs. I don't know why. It seems like such a perfectly reasonable thing to happen.
Strength.
There we go. So that's what we were doing in the Blood Furnace, setting back the factory's production rate of Fel Orcs by quite a bit, I might add. Right now we fly back. Put this up y'all. There we go. So yeah, for those of you not aware, garrisons were originally going to be race-specific, and that was awesome. They were also going to be you could choose which zone it went in, which is awesome. Both of those were cut for time and money reasons, which is not awesome, and kind of sucks, actually. Unfortunately, I think the biggest problem WoW has had for some time is it just takes them too long to get content out. And I actually understand. You know, I get it. They're trying to... They try to polish things excessively and try not to have too many screw-ups. And they've had screw-ups, you know, and for every screw-up, there has been some significant backlash. But people tend to forget the other 95% of the time when they don't screw up content, when they do polish it properly. So it takes a while for stuff to get out. And so they keep... They're like, we want to do this! And then they start working on it, It's like, we can't do all of this! You know? And so they start cutting. So yeah, they cut Farallon, which was just aggravating. And then they turned... They barely did anything. When I can't think of the name of it. The PvP zone was first came out. It was a mess. Like when it first went live. Ugh. And they had to cut the garrisons thing. They got rid of the capital city. I know what you're going to say. It's in the PvP zone. I don't believe you. Etc., etc. It's a shame because... The great irony of this situation is if they didn't have to worry about things like justifying continued existence and diminishing returns on investment, they might actually be able to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to dump all of my effort and work into blah, right? Well, you say that, Darker, but you and I both know that when Shattrath went live, that place was swarming with people during BC. When Wrath went live, Dalaran had bajillions of people in it, you know? And then, of course, there was the lack of a proper capital city in Cataclysm, and for logical reasons. But then, of course, now there's the Pandaren capital cities, which have the portals again, and I rest my case, really. And, of course, we're going to have New Dalaran in Legion. But anyways, so, let's talk about some lore. Also, hi, Enigma. Hey, what's up? Tell your Wi-Fi to fix itself. Yeah, I really wish they'd done something more with that, Darker. But whatever. I'm not going to defend every stupid Blizzard decision. I actually disagree with a lot of things Blizzard has done. It's one reason why I laugh whenever someone says I'm a Blizzard fanboy. It's like, really? Blizzard makes some redunculous decisions. Every now and then I just look at them like, what are you thinking? Why would you do that? That is so stupid. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy their games. I still enjoy WoW. I still am looking forward to Legion. I still liked Warlords. I will say Warlords is probably the overall least enjoyed expansion for me. But I still liked it, you know what I mean? It's kind of a love-hate relationship thing. You know what, Hylisk? I would like that if garrisons were a little better implemented. The biggest problem with garrisons, in my opinion, since we're already talking about it, I might as well go into this. The biggest problem with garrisons was it was designed to be part of your leveling. And it was. While you're leveling, a garrison is actually pretty awesome. It's part of your leveling experience. You make choices about it, you gain the zone buffs about it, you send your followers out to help you get a few things as you're going, you know. It's part of the leveling experience. The problem is the moment you hit 100, all of that goes away. There's the barely existent garrison campaign thing, which literally just go do a quest once a week until you're done with them all, and there's not that many quests. And then there's endless cycles of doing crafting. And that's it. I'm being facetious. There's a couple other things to it, but you get my point. And I don't know. There's other things they could have done with that. If I was in charge, I would have definitely redone it in a different manner. But again, keeping that ever-important time and money budget problem, realistically speaking, doing more with the garrisons was probably not feasible. So the only way to fix garrisons would be to do less with them and make them less part of the experience. At least as far as endgame goes. That's just my think on the matter. I will also talk about the stranded thing when we get there. I need to stop talking about Warlords. We've got the FF13 effect all over again, guys. Come on, let's save the FF13 talk for when we get to FF13. Let's talk about the Atamal Stones, or Atamal Stones, or Atamal Stones. I have no idea how it's supposed to be pronounced. A-T-A-apostrophe-M-A-L. Now, the thing is, I know how you're supposed to pronounce it, like Mu'uru. There's supposed to be that sound in the middle there, you know. Adal, or Aurush, or whatever the other one's name is. So there's supposed to be like Mal. So there's like another vowel in there, Amal, or something like that. But anyways, those are the crystals. That is to say, I should say crystal. The Atamal crystal, which is what I'm going to call it from now on, the Atamal crystal was a Naru artifact, something the Naru actually created and built somehow. We don't know how they craft things. We do know they have spaceships, so that's a thing. And the Atamal crystal was given to Valen. And it was like, look, here, take this, use it to save your people. And a huge number, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Draenei came with him as they were fleeing from the forces of Archimonde and Kil'jaeden, recent converts of Sargeras. The crystal shattered, and the pieces of it formed a barrier that protected them and served as a beacon for the Ashigun to show up. The Ashigun, for those of you not aware, is a Naru ship. We'll be seeing it later. You might be like, why am I talking all about all this now? Well, those pieces are all still Naru artifacts and still very powerful. These Illidari, the specific reason that they are here is to try and find one of the Atamal crystals, which is supposedly in this particular Draenei ruins. Now, as was pointed out by our good friend here... Whoop. Hang on, I need to kill a guy. I need to kill a guy. There we go. As was pointed out by Naladu here, it's actually pretty likely the crystal is not here. But the Illidari don't mind. They're more than willing to brutally butcher and enslave in order to make sure that we at least make sure if it's here or not.
Must not give up.
So, continuing. You've come to help my tribe, Broken Elf? Or Blood Elf? How unusual. There aren't many that care about the fate of the Broken in this land.
Luck to you.
Anywhere you see a tribe of enslaved Broken, you will also find a traitor. A despicable being who sold his brothers for promises of power. There's a hut at the top of the stairs in the center of the ruins. That is the Turncoat's hut. He's not there right now, so you will be able to sneak in if you're patient. Inside you will find a coffer with a key inside of it. That key unlocks the chains that keep the Dreghood elders prisoners. Bring it to me.
See you.
I will both agree and disagree with you, Darker. Agree because they didn't flesh it out properly. Disagree because the potential was amazing and they really should have kept going with it, you know what I mean? There is so much more they could do with the Draenei and the Naru. But whatever, as they say. So the space travel thing, I know this is a controversial opinion. The space travel thing doesn't bother me. I think that's just down to the way my mind works. For me, it's logical, even in a fantasy setting, for space travel to exist. Even if it's magitech, or if it's actual technology. Because you're still on a planet, right? I mean, you're still on a planet. So, there's still other planets, there's still interstellar space, there's still dimensional hopping, you know. So it just makes sense to me that space travel can exist. So it almost never bothers me when it's implemented into fantasy. I mentioned that. Again, I'm not trying to shame anyone for having the opposite opinion, but I mentioned that because one of the most common complaints that tends to be heard about the introduction of the Draenei was, "What? Get that science fiction out of my fantasy," to paraphrase. And Hylisk, that's exactly why this kind of attitude makes more sense if these were the Legion and not the Illidari, but we've already talked about that. Alzheimer's. There is no other landing zone.
Hello, stranger.
Did you obtain the key? Thank you. My people will be free thanks to you. The Draghood spirit is broken because our elders are imprisoned. Take this key and go free them. They are Mora the Wind Stirrer, Akaru the Fire Caller, and Alyan the Water Waker. Once they are free, the spirits will return to the Draghood tribe.
You come back sometime.
We'll be seeing actually a lot of the Broken throughout this run. The landing zone is from Mass Effect 1, Little Billy. Actually, I've heard that theory before, Darker, and I like that theory, because it makes a lot of sense. What happens when you get to the furthest opposite end of a Naru? What happens if you have something that's so consumed by Void? And keep in mind, we already know for a fact the old gods tend to use primarily Void-type energies, right? Whereas the Legion uses Fel, the old gods use Void. So what if the old gods are actually, you know, Naru who have reached the furthest end of that life cycle, or Naru who have absorbed so much due to their nature as Void creatures that they have become, as you describe, the old gods. And that would be fascinating if they did something with that.
Akal Hekta.
Walk free, Elder.
Go on then.
You have freed me. The winds speak to my people once more and grant them their strength. I thank you, stranger. FF10 totally had a space travel off camera, and then they lost it all by FF7's time, which... Well, now, in fairness, King Bubble, the Draenei don't know how to build space travel. No one actually, of the playable or major races, has the technology, or the... I shouldn't say technology, it's the wrong term. Doesn't have the advancement to build space travel. The Titans do. The Legion as a whole do, primarily for the Moarg. And the Naru do. And yeah, that's it. Those three are the only groups who actually have advanced enough knowledge of magic technology or magic technology in order to go into space travel. I'm not saying it's impossible for us. I'm just saying that we're not at that point yet, so it kind of makes sense that we haven't gone off and, you know, built new spaceships. That would be cool, Hylisk. I'd like that. Hey, Charlord. Hope you enjoyed Orzammar, Kemek. Would I prefer the Burning Legion or the Scourge to win overall in the end? Legion? Because the Scourge winning is horrible. The Legion winning means you're dead. Because that's what they want. You're gone. Wiped out all life. As opposed to eternal servitude. So, unless I'm the Lich King, I think I'll go with the Legion. Thanks.
We survived.
I am free. The spirit of water returns to my people. It will bring us the wisdom we need to survive in this harsh land. I am in your debt. Valvaxis. This one's for you, Last Echo, even though you're probably not on right now. So, for all those horrible, terrible quests we've done up until this point in time, this is a nice quest as a breath of fresh air. We are actively going around literally freeing slaves and stopping their demon masters and restoring their dignity and restoring their people. Just all sorts of awesome stuff like that.
Light. Must remember the light.
I am free. The spirit of fire will return to us, so the people will have the courage to fight their masters. I thank you, Blood Elf. A lore run is kind of what it sounds like. It's a run-through of the game where we go in depth as much as we can about the lore of the game. Probably not, Charler, let's be honest. Remember, the Legion winning means them wiping out all life. That's the goal. Destroying everything so they can start over. So, even though I have no doubts that Kil'jaeden and Archimonde have some kind of plans to survive that and turn against Targaryen, that is the goal of the Legion as a whole. And King Bubble, not that I'm aware, no. I mean, we had M'uru, but he's kind of gone, basically. Oh, no, we have K'ure, excuse me, who is the one in the Exeter. So we have one Naru on Azeroth. The next dungeon I will be queuing for will be the Slave Pens, except not for a while.
Right.
So, having freed the Elders, I can feel it, yes, the spirits are returning to us. We are not as strong as we once were, but a little magic can go a long way in the right hands. Arzeth has great powers bestowed upon him by his Dark Lord. Take this staff. It was once a great symbol of our tribe. Use it against Arzeth and his powers will be temporarily removed from him. Defeat him, so my people will be free.
So long.
Oh god, Provnik, that would be terrible. In-game, Godric, as in as if I'm playing the game, or in real life? Because those are two very different questions. That broken worm gave you the staff, didn't he? Did he also tell you he's the one who sold out his tribe? No matter, you'll both pay for this. Or I'll die horribly. One of those things is going to happen. In real life, ooh. Ooh, that is a very tough question. I don't recall anything about them actually successfully reverse engineering it, no, Hylisk. And Cashel, you may thank our donators who have donated for this outfit. I would be most inclined towards Mage, probably Arcane Mage. Mostly because of the utility as well. Other things come to mind immediately, though, like Paladin. Prot Paladin, specifically. That's a good question, War Wager. We don't know. Whatever Sargeras thinks things should be like.
Light. Must remember the light.
Ah, it is true, Valvaxis. I was once Naladu, the Keeper of Earth. It is I who betrayed the other Dreadgood Elders in exchange for empty promises of power. You can despise me now if you wish to. What matters is that my tribe is free once again and that the spirits have returned to us. I will not be joining the rest of my tribe, but I can die in peace now. May the Spirit of Earth find a new servant amongst my brothers.
See you.
Well, that's why I said Paladin, actually. Bubble. But then again, I do tend to lead more towards the tanking philosophy in general. I don't know, I'd have to think about that a little bit more. So, in the immediate wake of having saved tons and tons of captured slaves, and ensuring that, you know, peace and prosperity has returned to an entire tribe of the broken, I think it's time we go torture Adrani with Fel Energy. What do you guys think? That is correct, Cashel. In Legion, WoW will allow you to infinitely spec, basically. You can just swap at will.
I'm listening.
Ah, you've been most helpful. Now let's see what we can learn from our blue friend.
Watch your back.
A potent concoction. Then all we have to do, War Wager, is kill every life in the universe in order to make that happen. Oh, but where can I ever find a suitable test subject? Yeah. Drink this, you blue brute. Disobey me and I promise you a slow, painful death. So he drinks of it. And he dies. Looks like I'm going to need a new test subject. Yeah. Gotta love the apothecaries. Frickin' apothecaries, I swear to God. And you wonder why they had to invent an alchemical compound in order to try and convince people to forgive them for all the horrible things they've done. Thank you, Andy Birch. Sorry, as I'm coughing up a storm all of a sudden. Hope you're enjoying. Holy crap. So, what do you mean by campaign? Okay. I love how every time I'm muted, I immediately get like 50 messages about it. I appreciate it, so I can know. As the Colossus falls under the weight of your attacks, you notice for the first time it was holding a red crystal fragment. While it was small and unnoticeable in the giant's hand, it's fairly hefty for you to carry around. It also looks suspiciously like a piece of the giant crystal in the middle of the ridge. It's most definitely a clue as to the strangeness that's occurring here, and you're sure the druids at the Cenarian Post will want you to see it. What's supposed to be happening there, Darch, in lore, basically, is that you're breaking them apart, so that pieces of them are breaking off, and that's what causes the ads to show up. The saddest questline? Oh man, I don't know. There's a lot of really sad ones. Tyrion's original one in vanilla comes to mind immediately. The next one would probably be... no, Enigma. The next one would probably be... Darrowshire, I think, is definitely a very, very heart-rending one. There's also one about a certain little velociraptor in Stranglethorn Vale. You know the one I'm talking about. And, man, there's a lot. There's also the quest in Icecrown about the Paladin, where we find out just exactly how invasive the Scourge Blight really is. Yeah. I believe I have Darker. I'm not sure which one you're talking about off the top of my head, though. So.
Greetings.
There's a big crystal here. Did you get that while you were killing Colossi? Let me take a look at it. Just like a lump of unrefined crystal to me. I mean, I feel kind of a sickly, evil aura emanating off it, but that's not exactly my line of work. I'm just here to put an end to the giant menace. You should take the crystal lump over to the Earthbinder. She's just like you, always needing to get to the bottom of a mystery and thinking all the time. If you ask me, she thinks a little bit too much. Just give it to her, and I'm sure she'll get you into a heap of trouble trying to figure out what's going on.
Good luck, friend.
Very good, Hylisk. And yes, there's a definite connection between those and the ones we saw in Blood Mist.
Goddess bless you.
Is that a piece of the Earth Giant? Oh, excellent. I've been waiting to get my hands on a piece of that thing, but Tolathon's been dragging his feet. He's supposed to be out here helping me investigate what's going on the Fallen Sky Ridge. Instead, he's been sending poor dupes like you, no offense, up there to the slaughter mill. Just give me that crystal. Maybe we can find a link between it and the Colossi.
Elune light your path.
It must be... Whoa, whoa. I have an idea. Let's plant this shard in the ground and see what happens. This is the best idea anyone's ever had, ever. Blood Elf Death Knight is probably the thing that made me just have to put the game down for a second the worst. As I discussed, I guess that was yesterday. Oh my god! It's a Colossi! Holy crap! Oh god. Okay, okay, we're okay. We're okay. Everything's okay. We're all fine now. Here, thank you.
I am honored.
It must be that the evil emanations from the crystal are summoning the mountain giants and driving them insane. It's too big to move and beyond our ability to destroy, but I know a way to quell its power. I've summoned a circle at the northwest corner. Take this seed to it and channel its powers to heal the land through the natural forces of rain, growth, and insect repopulation. Beware. I sense an external force at play here. This is not natural.
Asha Fela.
Ah, yes, I know which one you're talking about, Darker. Depends on what they want to do with the series, really, King Bubble. Both have possibilities. But personally, I think they should start wrapping up the existing ones, and maybe, while they're doing, introduce some new ones. That's what I think. We've been fighting the Legion and the Old Gods since Warcraft 1, basically. So wrapping up those storylines, or at least working towards wrapping them up, I think would be a good idea, at least in my opinion. So this is this massive freaking crystal. I know it's really hard to get a sense of scale, but this thing is absolutely colossal. Look at this. Just massive freaking thing. Okay, sure. Hang on. Go away. You know, I'll talk about Taylor later. I'm not talking about FF13 yet, damn it. Alright, so let's see what this does. Well, we're kind of doing something to the crystal. Whoa! Who's this? And just what do you think you're doing? You dare to interfere with my master's experiment? Do you really like what we've done here? Perhaps we will drop these crystals from the sky all over Outland. I grow bored with your attempt to heal the land and quell the energies. Goliathan, King of Colossi, Prince Kael'thas and I demand that you defend the crystal. We'll meet again soon. Holy crap, it's an awesome crystal golem of frickin' cool looking. No, that was Panthelion the Calculator. We'll be seeing him later. You know, it's funny you say that, King Bubble, because one of the solutions I came up with years ago for actual cooperation and peace on Azeroth is all they need is a unified threat to fight against. And then shortly thereafter, BC came out. Yeah, I had that theory all the way back in vanilla. And one of my first reactions to BC was, oh, this is great! We have the Legion and Illidan to fight against. Surely this will unite the Horde and the Alliance. Finally! And then we will... Because that's basically what you need in order to quell the years of infighting that we have on Azeroth amongst all the different races. You need to have... Yes, I do, Kay. I actually have a specific thing set up for that. See? And now I'm a Panther. Wow. And now I'm a Twilight Harbinger. Anyways, so you need at least a generation, preferably two, of a situation where the two sides aren't actually at war. So a new generation can be born and get used to the idea of us coordinating with each other in order to have a majority push towards peace. And the best way to do that is to have an external threat pushing you that entire time. Problem is, if you're paying attention, we've had an external threat this entire time. We have had an external threat since vanilla, really. And we're still fighting amongst each other. I mean, frickin' really. The point, Hylisk, is that his claim to kinghood really wasn't valid. Remember, the only person who ever claimed he was king was Kael'thas himself.
What brings you here?
Yeah, pretty much, Kay. Did it work? What'd you learn? What's behind it? Goliathan? Pthalion the Calculator? Kael'thas? Prince Kael'thas has had a hand in this? Yeah, Earthbinder fumes. This is insanity what he's done. Dropping giant crystals from the sky and decimating the land can only be the work of a madman. I assure you, the Cenarian expedition will counter any further attempts by their forces to do this again. We owe you a great debt.
May the stars...
So
guide
great
you.
that I'm going to give you more Crayola gear. Another mount. Okay, so that's everything. We're actually done with Hellfire Peninsula. Yay! Except we're totally not actually done with Hellfire Peninsula, because that's how we're doing the lore run. So... Hang on, I gotta check my notes on something real quick. Make sure I'm doing right. Yep. I'm right. I'm super right. It may be the kind of thing where he's only saying that not to his face, Hylisk. At least that's my understanding of it. See you around, Darker Soul. That would be kind of cool, King Bubble. I got this one pretty recently. Last year, actually, Provnik. And then Warcraft 4 comes out, and it's all thrown out the window. How many quests have I done in Hellfire? I don't know, actually. Really, I don't. I don't even have a way of telling, really. Several. You don't count Grom? Come on, dude. So let's see. Why don't we head to Shattrath first? I think that's the best place to start this off. A comma? Eh, he kind of counts. Good night, pencil. So we're going to do a little bit of a more accelerated run-through of this area. Where's... I've apparently done 78 quests in Hellfire. Okay, I already got that. Excellent. So, welcome to Shattrath. This is Adal. I point this out because this is probably the most light Naru we see right here. The one that is furthest on the light side of its particular lifespan. And, you can kind of see what I mean when I say that. Also, notice how he's much more energetic and active than the other ones we've seen. Notably, even this one right over here is nowhere near as mobile as Adal is. And this is what a more in-the-middle Naru looks like. We also have another example of that over here with Ge'eris. This guy right here. Getting kind of dark over there, buddy. But that's okay. We don't judge you for it. Oh, and hey, look, someone killed Kael'thas recently. So this is Shattrath. I suppose this is actually probably the best time to talk about Shattrath. This, we actually get to see this place before, hey, Fuke, before everything gets, you know, wrecked. Because this is actually a place that's in Warlords of Draenor. Because Shattrath is an old city. There used to be a dome over all of this, which has since been shattered. As you can see, there's actually a little bit of debris down below, partially because of the damage and partially because of the wrecking of Outland into this place. Shattrath, I'm surprised to see as many people here as I have. Usually this place is pretty empty. Oh, absolutely, Godric. Over here, as you can see, these are the Scryers. Actually, let's start with the Aldor. Before we talk about the Scryers, let's talk about the Aldor. So there's an elite group of Draenei who have been here pretty much this entire time, who have been holding the line against pretty much every force seeking to fight them. And that would be the Aldor, the venerated elite amongst the Draenei's forces. That's those guys over there. They're all Draenei, 100% Draenei. No other races are kind of accepted into here. And they're pretty zealous. They're probably some of the more hardline militant of the Draenei. Although, again, in fairness, it's kind of understandable why. The Aldor have been very... everyone is our enemy, so we have to be constantly vigilant for a very long time. As an aside, I personally prefer being Scryer over Aldor for one extremely simple reason. So, if you jump over this ledge down on the elevator, and the elevator happens to be out the way at the bottom, you'll die. However, if you're over here, the Scryer tier is so much lower that if you jump off of this ledge, right here, and fall to the bottom, you'll live through it. And yes, that's what I use to decide whether I go Scryer or Aldor, because I am that much impatient that I don't like waiting on the elevator. What do you want from me? Anyways, this is the tier for the Scryers. Now, it's a funny thing, Blood Elves actually start out in good standing with the Scryers, so usually a Blood Elf probably should go with Scryers if you're actually interested in pushing one of the reputations. The Scryers used to be some of the most elite forces of Kael'thas's forces, and they were ordered, not by Illidan, but by Kael'thas, to come and attack Shattrath, which was incredibly stupid. Probably one of the stupidest possible things, militarily speaking, that they could do. I mean, really, that's an incredibly stupid strategy. I'm not even going to go into the reasons why. So the Scryers showed up, a whole army of them. Again, some of Kael'thas's best and most brightest and elite. They showed up in the borders, and the Eldar were there, and the Naaru were there, and the Scryers said, "We surrender." And the Aldor and Naaru, the Aldor were like, "Huh?" But the Naaru knew this was coming. See, these Scryers had a brain, and they recognized that Kael'thas is no longer the person who deserves their loyalty and leadership, and that the Naaru were not their enemy. And they wanted to work with the Naaru and the Aldor. I personally think they were Magister, but that's just my opinion. They wanted to work with the Naaru and with the Aldor in order to defeat the Legion and Illidan. And so the Scryers were given that entire tier to work with. Now, the Aldor, of course, are just, oh, we hate them, they're our enemies, and we're the only ones worthy of serving the Naaru and stupid Scryers. And of course the Scryers are idiot Aldor, constantly bickering about stupid things, when they, the two sides are pretty much constantly backbiting. The one and only time the two actually coordinate, finally, is with the Shattered Sun offensive, which we'll get to when we get there. But eventually they do finally coordinate. Also, I like this tabard. That's the Shattered Sun offensive tabard. There was a vision involved, yes. There was a vision, but they were already leaning in that direction. There's a reason the entirety of the forces, including every single member of the Scryers, willingly joined the Naaru cause, because they all believed Kael'thas had gone too far, and they all believed that this was the direct general correct course of action. This was premeditated, though. This wasn't something that just happened on the fly. They came here with deliberate intent to join them, basically. Yeah, it's Valentine's Day, okay, in-game at least, so yes, you're seeing heart decorations all over the place. So let's go ahead and do the intro quest. It'll explain some of the things I just mentioned. Welcome to Shattrath City, Paladin. This may be the one place in all of Outland where you'll find some semblance of safety. A group of Naaru known as the Sha'tar drove the demons away from here. If you've never met a Naaru, you should see Adal inside the Terrace of Light. The leader of the Sha'tar is an awe-inspiring sight if I ever saw one. Sure is a change of pace from anything else in this bleak land.
See you around.
Yeah, here, look, Casey. Love is in the Air is actually the name of the event, and it will last until the 29th. So let's go talk to Mr. Incredibly Shiny there. Yeah. The light has filled your senses as you approach Adal intensifies. Melodic chimes continue to ring in your head. You are safe here. Do not... So this is Khadgar. By the way, I actually like that they've updated his model here. I know Hylisk, I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but I think this model looks a lot more like him and suits him better than random generic human model number 57. So I like that Khadgar actually looks like Khadgar here. There is a catch to that, though. He's got a Tish here. So, good and bad. Anyways.
There is much we can learn here.
Do not burden Adal with petty inquisitions, Paladin. That might just be the most powerful being you ever come face to face with. You do not look familiar. I suppose you want to learn more about the city? You'll have to excuse me if I don't give you a tour myself. I'm a bit busy discussing strategy with Adal. But perhaps you'll find a summoned servant acceptable in my stead? Excellent.
For Azeroth.
So welcome to the worst escort quest in the game. Follow me, stranger. This will not take long. I actually talked about all the holidays and their lore significance earlier, Charlord. There's not much. Yeah, a lot of people think Khadgar's Medivh, and I'm one of them. Yeah, he really shouldn't have it, Tish. Wait, Khadgar himself is showing you around? You must have made a good impression, Velvaxis. So this is like a reverse escort quest. Basically, you just have to keep in range of this thing. It's kind of like the races in the Netherwing stuff. There's no actual fighting, it's just keep up. And of course, it's not at walking speed, and it's not at running speed, because there's this speed called escort speed, and it's there designed to screw with you. Shattrath was once the Draenei capital of this world. Its name means Dwelling of Light. When the Burning Legion turned the orcs against the Draenei, the fiercest battle was fought here. The Draenei fought tooth and nail, but in the end, the city fell. The city was left in ruins and darkness until the Shattar arrived. Let us go to the lower city. I will warn you that as the only safe havens in Outland, Shattrath has attracted droves of refugees from all wars, current and past. I don't know if Khadgar is literally Medivh, but as we'll point out during Warlords, there's some interesting similarities between Khadgar and Medivh, especially throughout the Warlords campaign. He's a lot more callous than he's ever been before. He has a particular drive of mindset that reminds me a lot of Medivh, and of course, he's carrying the frickin' Yatish for some reason. Hey look, Netherwing Drakes. I have all of them, of course, but this is mine. Onyxian is my one right there. The orcs attacked because this was the demonic horde. This was back prior to Warcraft 1. Darsh Monster. The Shattar, or Born from Light, are the Naaru that came to Outland to fight the demons of the Burning Legion. They were drawn to the ruins of Shattrath City, where a small remnant of the Draenei priesthood conducted its rites inside a ruined temple on this very spot. The priesthood, known as the Aldor, quickly regained its strength as word spread that the Naaru had returned, and reconstruction soon began. The ruined temple is now used as an infirmary for injured refugees. Also, one of them says, "Hey, welcome to Shattrath. Be sure to drop by later. We could use a hand with the injured." Is this better, Kay? Very possible, Equalitas. One way or another, there's definitely a strong connection between Khadgar and Medivh as of Warlords. It's just what it is, I don't actually know. Be mindful of what you say. This one's being shown around by Khadgar's pet. Are you joking? I'm a scryer. I always watch what I say. There's more enemies than allies in this city, it seems. This escort quest wouldn't be quite as bad if not for two things. A, this thing moves way too slow. And B, it covers too much of a distance to do all the little cutscene tidbits that we're going through. It's some nice stuff, and later on we'll see them pull off this same concept better. And most notably when you're doing the charge up the Ogre Citadel in Frostfire Ridge, whatever this citadel is right about here. That's pretty much just an extended cutscene, but it's quick, it's action-packed, it gets all the content in there. It's just generally presented overall. That is true, Jedi Mew. And if the theory that Khadgar is Medivh is true, then that would be leading towards that direction. Light be with you, Velvaxis. Welcome to Shattrath. Be the first on your block to own the incredible electrostatic maculation blaster. Derived from cutting-edge Shattered Sun offensive technology, it blasts away stubborn stains with ease. Wine stains, grass stains, even pet stains are no match for the electrostatic maculation blaster. It wouldn't be long, however, before the city came under attack once again. This time, the attack came from Illidan's armies, except that's not true, but whatever. A large red regiment of Blood Elves have been sent by Kael'thas Sunstrider to lay waste to the city. As the regiment of Blood Elves crossed this very bridge, the Aldor Exarchs and Vindicators lined up to defend the Terrace of Light. But then the unexpected happened. The Blood Elves laid down their weapons in front of the city defenders. Their leader, Voronthal, stormed to this Terrace of Light and demanded to speak with Adal. As the Naaru approached him, Voronthal kneeled and uttered the following words. I have seen you in a vision. My race's only hope with survival lies with you. My followers here are here to serve you. Oh, as an aside, this actually turned out to be true. The Naaru were the only salvation for the Blood Elves, but I've already explained that, so I don't really feel the need to rehash. I just felt it's worth noting that that actually turned out to be true. Yeah, if you lose this guy, he despawns, basically. And you have to start all over again. Yeah. Hey, look, I just got another bot spamming me about how I could pay money in order to get more viewership. Oh, man, I can't wait to go to your virus-riddled site and spend tons of money paying for fake views. That'll totally get me a partnership with Twitch. The defection of Voronthal and his followers was the largest loss ever incurred by Kael'thas' forces, and these weren't just any Blood Elves. These were the best and brightest amongst his scholars and magisters. The Naaru accepted the defectors, who would be known as the Scryers. Their dwelling lies in the platform above. Only those initiated with the Scryers are allowed there. And Blood Elves who happen to not be initiated at all, like yourself. Also, it has something to do with your outfit. I don't know what that means. Actually, the destruction of the Sunwell is why they're called Blood Elves. Okay, they were High Elves before that. Now they keep the name Blood Elves in honor of the fallen and the dead. Yeah, I know, right, Tuttle? I want to pay money to get paid for streaming. Don't worry, we're only doing this once. We're not doing this on the Alliance. We're not even really going to cover Shattrath on the Alliance. There's no need to. Almost there. The Aldor are followers of the light, and forgiveness and redemption are values they understand, but they have found it hard to forget the deeds of the Blood Elves. Many of the priesthood have been slayed by the magisters who now vowed to serve the Naaru. They are not happy to share the city with their former enemies. The Aldor's most holy temple and dwellings lie on the terrace above. As a holy site, only the initiated are welcome inside. The attacks on Shattrath continued, but the city did not fall. As you can see, quite the contrary. The Naaru, known as Z'iri, led a successful incursion into Shadowmoon Valley, Illidan's doorstep. The Yerhi continues to wage war on Illidan with the assistance of the Aldor and the Scryers. The two factions have not given up on their old feuds, however. Such is the animosity that they vie for the honor of being sent to assist the Naaru there. Each day that decision is made by Adal. The armies gather here to receive Adal's blessing before heading to Shadowmoon. Khadgar should be ready to see you again. Just remember that to serve the Shattar, you will most likely have to ally with one group or the other, and seeking the favor of one group will cause the other's dislike. Because politics is even in the middle of a demonic invasion. Oh, shoot. Hang on. Okay. I almost failed the quest right at the end. I've done that before. I've rushed away right before the quest completed and gotten just a little bit too far out of range and accidentally had to do the entire quest again. Anyone else ever done that? Anyone else ever done that? The spaghetti was quite good. Thank you for asking, Sir Arthur. So you know what? I mentioned earlier that it would be an incredibly stupid move for Illidan to attack Shattrath. Remember, Illidan is actively fighting the Legion right now. The Illidari forces are quite up to their noses in conflict. Attacking Shattrath, people who are not actively attacking them, I want to remind you, people who are in no way their enemy, at least at the moment, the only thing it does is to serve to have happen what actually has happened. In other words, now, because Shattrath was attacked, now Shattrath's forces are attacking Illidan. Not Kael'thas. Illidan. There is a theory going around that this is something that could be retconned into making sense. In other words, the idea here is that Kael'thas was deliberately sabotaging Illidan's war efforts Because, as we know, Kael'thas, as of this moment, has already betrayed Illidan. So, possible, but
We
a
will
little
find a
retconny.
way through this.
I hope you've learned a thing or two about Shattrath.
Come back in one piece.
So, allegiance to the Scryers.
Keep your guard up.
Now that you've chosen a side, you should meet the Scryers' leader. You'll find Voronthal the Seer inside library. See if you can give him assistance.
Be vigilant, friend.
Okay, I can do that. I would go up the elevator, but I can fly. Anyways, the Arcane Rune is just a generic Arcane Rune. Think of it like a currency, Little Billy. Something that can be spent to craft or wield or empower or otherwise use arcane mageries with regards to rune thing. Yeah, no kidding, Jedi Mew. Takes some guts to do that if you think about it. So this is something they added later on, all of these profession trainers, aka the books there that you can use for that. Not even really that necessary nowadays, but still nice.
Anu Belore Delanar. We will have justice.
So yeah, he asked you to go... So, arcane tomes are not ordinary books that happen to deal with arcane matters. There is intrinsic power in them, a power I've learned to synthesize into a rune. Should you find a tome in your travels, I will give you a rune. Only the most powerful wielders of magic carry the books I need. In Outland, this usually means kills blood elves. But you'd be surprised where such tomes turn up. We're
Farewell.
not even going to be picking that quest up.
Everything has a price.
This is where you get Tier 4 armor, and I believe Tier 5 as well. I am totally wrong.
Farewell.
Tier 5 is one of the other ones. This is probably Tier 5 over here. Nope, that's wrong. This one would be Tier 5.
Glory to the
Yep,
Sindorai.
there we go. Tier 5, which, for the curious, is the Power Ranger armor, as it's been called right there. Call me weird, but I actually like it. Power
Remember
Ranger-ness
the
or not.
sun
I like the
well.
crystal aesthetic, so it's something that appeals to me. Okay.
Anu Belore Delanar.
So there's the other repeatable. Hey, Deutsch. Hello, Rachi.
Choose wisely.
Get rid of all this crap.
Stay the course.
Yeah, I tried to get offset Tier 5, and then I finally gave up on it. Worked on another set entirely. What do I like to do besides play WoW? I like to do everything, dude. Everything. Seriously, though, there's very few things in geek culture I don't enjoy to some extent or another. Yeah, as Deutsch says, everything. I'm looking forward to playing more XCOM when I'm done with the lore run. That's like my next thing I'm inclined towards. Captain Phasma armor. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Okay, so we're kind of doing stuff out of order. So I want to make sure I find what I'm looking for. Which is right here. Fantastic. Excellent. So we're actually going to log off this character. Because we're doing this in order. So this is kind of how the format's going to go henceforth. I know you haven't really seen this yet. This is going to be a little bit of a morphic, kind of make it up as we go sort of a thing. So I hope you'll forgive me for the somewhat morphic nature of this, because I'm trying to avoid repetition in Quest as much as I can. But now it's time to do Hellfire Peninsula. On the other side. What do you mean, Darsh? And now that we know this works, this will very likely be the very last time that I ever do this. So, if you'll forgive me for enjoying the moment. You know, I still remember the first time I ever walked through this portal. It was on a mage, actually. Nethermist was her name. Yep. Still gives me chills. Years later. Still gives me chills. Love it. Alright. So you're probably like, wait a second, why aren't you using the sexy suit? This actually is the sexy suit for the Worgen. So whenever sexy is winning, this is actually what our Worgen is going to look like. The appearance that you're seeing right now. Yes, Kay, we actually have... we have our soul. We are ourselves again. Oh, I know, Equalitus. They should. It's such a big moment. Or at least it should be such a big moment. It's... Hell, there's no such... It should be. It absolutely is a big moment. It's just this big, awesome moment. Yeah, so this is actually going to be our transmog for the Worgen. We're going to look like this, with this massive freaking awesome sword like this. I'm still torn on the helmet. I think I'll let you guys decide. So we're going to start a poll. Helmet on, helmet, or no helmet. Now, just to give you an idea what it looks like, this is obviously what he looks like with the helmet on. And I'll just make this easy. This is what he looks like with the helmet off. I personally prefer it with the helmet off, but it's not really my decision. It's your guys' decision. The same as why I'm wearing that that bikini over on the other character. So this is how we're going to look basically for the rest of the game, too. We're going all the way to 100 with this one. So here's the poll. If it will ever go through. Come on, Nightbot. Wake up. Wake up, Nightbot. Wake up, Nightbot. You can do it. Hang on, guys. Nightbot's not even awake yet. What the hell? Hang on, guys. What the hell is Nightbot doing? Oh my god, Nightbot, really? Yep, Nightbot is offline at the moment. Oh my god. Hang on a second. Nightbot's actually offline. Well, anyways. Be thinking about your answer. We'll set up a poll as soon as Nightbot comes back online. This is what it looks like from back, by the way. You can see his mane kind of waving now without the helmet.
Light be with you.
I want you to speak with the Amish Wildhammer. Amish Wildhammer? And catch the first flight to Honor Hold. When you arrive at Honor Hold, you'll be greeted by Marshal Isildur. Really? Isildur? I have prepared a report detailing our situation here. Give him the report and tell him you're ready for duty. You have your orders. Move out! And though your blood must be burning to help us against the fiends below, waste no time here. Honor Hold needs you even more.
Light bless you.
No.
He really is. He's an Amish Wildhammer. Fascinating. Ahem. There you go. Thank you, Deutsch. So go to the straw poll that that Deutsch just linked, and go ahead and vote by that. And then immediately after, Kay made a straw poll. Damn it, guys. Competition. I saw you speaking with Duran over there. You must be on an important mission. Reports for Honor Hold? No problem. We'll get you there on the Griffin. When you're ready, I'll arrange a flight, yada, yada, yada. So let's
What's
go.
on your mind?
Yeah. It's so weird for me. I'm such a Horde primary that every time I go to Alliance, I'm weirded out when I'm flying in one of these things. The Griffins. It's like, oh, right. Alliance. Got it. Alliance. Yes. I remember. I'm an Alliance now. For the Horde Alliance! What? And that is true, Permeus. I think I'll bring that up later. Here's to you guys. And here's to WoW, because it's an awesome game, damn it. Flawed as crap. But still awesome. So I really like the music at Honor Hold. I also really like just the general feel of Honor Hold. A lot more than I do Thrallmar over there. I tend to like Alliance aesthetics better, I've noticed, than the Horde, even though I consider myself Horde primary, and always have. So, this is cool. Honor Hold is actually the place from Warcraft 2's expansion. The Eliord. I like that one, too. This is actually the fortress we helped establish while we were playing Beyond the Dark Portal as the Alliance. These people, the Sons of Lothar, are the ones who actually traveled through chasing after Ner'zhul's forces and then established these camps, and then basically fought to keep the Horde here. In order, I shouldn't say the Horde, but, you know, the Raging Orcs, to keep them here, basically willing to stay on this side to keep Azeroth safe, so that the portal could be closed. And everyone just kind of assumed after Warcraft 3 that they were gone, especially since, from what we understood, Draenor was ripped apart, remember? So the assumption was that all of these people were very, very dead, and they stayed behind knowing they were probably going to be very, very dead. It was actually... Yeah, no kidding, Darshmaster. It is actually very surprising to some people when we got here and was like, wait a minute. They survived! They actually survived for the past 16 years in this hellscape. So that's what this place is in terms of lore. And that's one of the reasons why this place is still kind of a ruined, wrecked mess that's barely functional. Obviously, they are now being aided by someone. I'm going to stand over here because I really want to hear a particular voice clip, or a particular bit of text. So I'm just going to stand here for a bit. Also, as an aside, I've been wanting to play a Horde Alliance combined thing for, well, quite literally since vanilla. That has been a desire of mine since vanilla. Like I said, when BC came out, my reaction was, yes! We'll finally have a reason to unite. Obviously, that didn't happen, so I'm like, okay. Wrath came out. Okay, if the Scourge doesn't unite the Horde Alliance, nothing will. Well, funnily enough, that's when the Horde Alliance actually declared war again. I just feel like pointing out that it was the Alliance that declared that war. Or, to be more accurate, it was Varian who declared that war. Because Varian, when he started off, was a racist, bigoted, warmongering idiot who was a hothead and not really a good leader. I will admit Varian's gotten a lot better, but back in Wrath, Varian was a bastard. And then Cataclysm came out. Yes! At last we understood everything about what's going on. At last! Wait, the war has actually officially been started between our sides? You gotta be kidding me! The world was just nearly destroyed. Why are we at war? Not just... And so I want to stress this, by the way. Lore-wise, we don't actually go to war until in between Wrath and Cataclysm. That's when the war actually starts. Everything but that, Vanilla and BC and most of Wrath, it was just skirmishes. Just, we weren't allied. We were kind of in a Cold War situation. It actually turns into a full-blown war in between, well, at the end of Wrath and then before Cataclysm. And I'm just like... And then Pandaria came along, and one of the big themes of Pandaria was how much that war was screwing up everything that was caught in the middle. The Jade Forest Zone, one of my favorite quest zones in the entire game, by the way. Jade Forest Zone was just amazing. And really showcased just how much the people in the middle got screwed over by this war. And then Warlords comes out, and for some reason... No, the war is over, but for some reason we're still fighting. And I'm just like... Every previous expansion has had at least a reason, an excuse, if you will, for why the Horde and Alliance are still fighting. Warlords didn't even pay lip service to why they're fighting. It's just, oh yeah, there's this PvP zone over here. That's it. Just keep fighting. At this point, it's becoming a little bit silly. I get that stupid people will always be stupid, but at this point in time, I'm starting to think that it's more just they want to keep having the PvP dynamic in the game and don't understand that you don't need that to be a lore thing for it to be a gameplay thing. There's plenty of possibility of having PvP and world PvP and battlegrounds and arenas without having the Alliance and the Horde in story. What the hell, Deutsch? Without having the two things in story be in conflict with each other. I mean, yeah, and in Legion, there's going to be aggression between the Alliance and the Horde and the Legion. While the Legion is invading. The biggest large-scale Legion invasion that has ever been seen, ever. And we're still going to be fighting each other. Hell do I know? Where is this idiot? He's not here yet. Well, whatever. Let's turn in this quest while we, check this out here. Ham!
What can I do for you?
Thank you. Thank the light you made it here safely. Honorhold needs all the seasoned warriors it can muster. Our expedition to this forsaken wreck of a world... Oh, crap, he's coming.
Careful.
Wait, that's not him. That's not him. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Sorry, sorry.
Well met.
Our expedition to this forsaken wreck of a world has almost ground to a halt. We encountered more resistance than we bargained for. As if facing the Burning Legion again wasn't bad enough, there are horrors in this land unlike anything we've ever encountered. Well, time to earn your pay. Report at once to Force Commander Trollbane within the keep. He and his advisors will no doubt be heartened to see you. For the Alliance!
For the Alliance.
And yet they're still fighting. Yet they're still fighting. Quick note, this is another of those things I was talking about earlier. If you hadn't played Warcraft 2, the name Danoth Trollbane would probably mean nothing to you. You'd probably be like, who? Why is that? Why are they acting like this is a big deal? I was one of those people who, of course, you know, had a lot of fun with Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. So when I heard the name Trollbane, my reaction was, awesome! Hands up, how many of you else out there immediately recognized who Trollbane was and thought it was awesome that he was still here? Just... I'm the only one. Okay. Sadness. No. Equalitas. So there is Force Commander Danoth Trollbane, one of the Sons of Lothar.
King's honor, friend.
This is one of the hero units from Warcraft 2, and one of the ones that we took with us into the expedition, along with Turelion, Alleria, and Khadgar, I believe, was actually the other one. Khadgar was the only one who came back through the portal. Everyone else stayed here. We don't actually know where Turelion and Alleria are still. However, they have promised we will finally find out what happened to Turelion and Alleria in Legion. So. Well met, brother. I'm glad you've come. I am Danoth, leader of the Sons of Lothar.
Light bless you. Need help?
Actually,
the
hang on.
Alliance.
So let's get a little bit of
Greetings.
lore, shall we? Tell me of the Sons of Lothar. Many years ago, my men and I followed the wizard Khadgar and the paladin Turelion to this world. Our sole aim was to annihilate the orcs and their vile kin, yet something went terribly wrong in the final hours of that war. Ultimately, this dark world was ripped asunder, and my dear friends were lost to the void. We, the Sons of Lothar, have remained here ever since, fighting, dying, praying that a day like today would come, a day when the portal would open and our brothers would come to deliver us home. Overjoyed as we are, duty still calls. There's much to be done before we can depart this world and take our rest.
Be careful. What can I do for you?
Orcs. It seems like I've been fighting them all my life. 20 years ago, we shattered the Horde and tore down the walls of Hellfire Citadel. We drove the Greenskins to the very brink! After that, other than a few skirmishes, the Broken Orcs never posed a threat to us. Until now.
Go with honor, friend.
While the Burning Legion invaded Azeroth, they were also at work here in Outland. We have tracked their movements over the years, but this latest activity, well, this is beyond anything we've ever seen. Seek out Sergeant Altimus near the Eastern Supply Caravan. She has been monitoring the invaders and may have some insight into their purpose.
Be careful.
Rumors have surfaced that some new breed of orc is on the rise. Larger, meaner, more cunning than the brutes we're familiar with. If these rumors are true, then our forces, already stretched, may be taxed beyond their limit. I have entrusted my lieutenant, Amadi, with investigating the matter. If you'd help her out, seek her out. She's stationed at the Broken Tower. Okay.
Light bless you.
You got it, sir. What do you mean, Permeus? I don't understand the second half of your sentence. Like, I get the open world PvP thing. And by the way, I'd just like to say, I think something that would actually help PvP coordination is removing the language barrier. For reasons I've already discussed. He's still not here. Where the heck is this guy? Well, there's a couple of significant people I want to show off while we're here. This is one of them. Erator the Redeemer.
Greetings.
I was only an infant when my father was deployed to this wasteland. All I've ever known of him is what others have told me. Do your dreams change, Xylom? Mine do not. I have one dream. A crimson skyline envelops me, as legion numbering beyond comprehension battle in the distance. I kneel before the body of a man, presumably my father, and weep. As he is gasping for air, his body wholly crushed, he whispers something. Despite every effort, I am unable to hear what he is trying to tell me.
Be careful.
This is Turelian and Illyria's son. An elf, actually a half-elf. Who... yeah. And yes, by the way, Telerian and Illyria were lovers, obviously, since they have a child, and he's right there. That little tidbit was in the moment BC went live, and we have not heard anything about Turelian or Illyria since. It's one of those dangling plot threads that kind of get irritating. WoW does that a lot. They just occasionally leave this dangling plot thread, and then they leave it there for frickin' ever. Like the missing diplomat, which didn't come up until all the way into Wrath, was when that finally came around, and they unveiled Varian. No, yeah, it's not a lore thing. It was literally to prevent trash talking, which, as I've already said, I disagree with. I do not think that was a good decision. Okay, Permeus, that's an interesting idea, now that I read the second half of that. That's the one, Turelian was his name. One of the original paladins, along with Tyrion, Dathrahan, and of course, Uther. Now, let's see. How is our poll doing? Refresh. An overwhelming majority says no helmet. I'm glad you agree. So let's put the helmet back on. But then let's go ahead and do this. Display, no helmet. There we go. Alright.
King's honor, friend.
Force Commander Danoth may have misunderstood my request for reinforcements. You look capable, but I asked for a battalion. You see, we have a little bit of a demon problem. Doomlord Kazak commands the Burning Legion in Outland. While we can't get to Kazak yet, we can and must get to his lieutenants on the ground. This is basically copy-paste from the Horde version of this quest.
Farewell.
So we're just going to kind of go through the motions of a couple of these until we get to some Alliance-specific stuff. And there is some Alliance-specific stuff, notably out here and over here are the two big ones. Oh, also, as an aside, one neat little thing that they did, this is the first time they ever did this, actually, was they had it so that... Oops, wow. Right, I'm not playing a paladin. I'm not on a paladin. Right. One neat little thing they did was a lot of the NPCs in this area actually have the armor of a lot of vanilla raid gear. So it gives you the impression that these are the people who, like us, geared themselves up during vanilla. Oh wow, I am not used to playing this class at all. Oh, I don't have my heirlooms on too. I should probably fix that. Let's go ahead and fix that really quick. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so helmet, shoulders, cloak, chest piece, leggings, weapon, ring, necklace, trinket. Equip. Make sure we save this over here because we need it for our transmog. There we go. We should be doing a little bit better now. Slightly better. Ugh. So... No, Deutsch. No. Just no. No. A lot of people complain that most of the expansions are Horde-centric. I can't quite agree with that. But I will say this. One of the things that is a bit of a shame when you're playing as the Alliance in BC is, as we've talked about many, many times, the Draenei aren't really nearly as relevant to the story as they really should be. And despite the fact that arguably the Alliance has as much reason, different reasons, but as much reasons to be vested interest in this place, really the primary story is about the Horde races, namely the Blood Elves and the Orcs. The Draenei are really only just here to reclaim their, what's left of their home, and of course to try and save their broken brethren, and trying to save the Alliance who were left behind all the way back in Warcraft 2. And that's kind of it, and those story points are not really focused on, unfortunately. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the Alliance storylines and Outline, I'm just saying they could have done more with it, and wow. Oh my god. Stop killing me. Oh, okay, we lived. We lived. Holy crap. We don't have any food. Well, we finished the quest. Let's get the hell out of here. Don't aggro me. Don't aggro me. Oh god, there's mobs everywhere. They're gonna kill me. Oh my god. Maybe I should have gone Blood, except you guys decided I should be Frost, so I don't really get a choice in the matter. What? Oh, right. That one. Okay. I will think about it, Permeus. Someday. Because you guys voted for it, Rekian.
Light be with you.
Outstanding work, soldier. The frequency of the attacks has gone down, thank God. So I need to start building the eventual suit here. So we're going to start putting those up there. Your battle prowess has been noted. They want to send you up to the front lines. Again, this is just an equivalent quest. We're just going to kind of blaze through this. Sorry, guys. A lot of the Horde Alliance quests basically mirror each other, which is kind of unfortunate. Call me a weirdo, but one of the things that, yeah, I think they just wanted me to have a harder time of it, so I may just respec if it slows down the lore run too much. Yeah, I know, right, Hylisk? In fact, they already have, as of now, the War Games concept, so it's not like that's new or anything like that. Anyways, the Horde Alliance separation thing has one big flaw game design-wise. It kind of introduces a really bizarre situation when it comes to designing new content, right? You have two real choices as a designer. You can differentiate the Horde and the Alliance quests so that each side has different quests, right? And that way, you know, there's motivation to level and a different character, and you get to see different sides of the story, okay? They did that actually a lot in Cataclysm, most notably in, let's say, Ashenvale, Stone Talon Peak, and Southern Barrens. All three of those zones... Oh, and Western Plaguelands. All four of those zones had a distinctly different... It was like one story, but you got to see half of it as the Horde and half of it as the Alliance. So you got to get the whole picture from playing both sides. And that's great, I like that. Of course, the negative to that is that takes way more time to make that happen. That's a huge time investment in order to do additional content for each side separately. Your second option is to just kind of say, and basically have the two sides be more or less analogous, so their quests are practically the same, with very little variation between the two, which removes the desire to level on the other side, because there's not really different story to see, but it is much easier and quicker to do. This is yet another reason why the Horde Alliance dichotomy going away would probably be a beneficial thing, because then we would get to see... It would, from the design perspective, they would not have to deal with this dilemma anymore. Shrug.
What can I do for you?
Ah, Hunter Gear. It still looks ridiculous, and always has. Good to meet you, soldier. Enough chatting. Listen up. I've got a mission. I've got a mission for you, and I want you to succeed and survive. You'll find the Legion front to our northeast, and spaced amongst it are portals. Take this primer, and yada yada yada. So like I said, these are just mirrored quests. This is not a mirrored quest, but we'll do that in a minute. I also have to admit I'm super spoiled when it comes to Death Knights. I have an add-on whose only purpose is to have a nice big indicator of what my runes are, pretty much right at the center of the screen. Helps me to keep track of where my runes are. Actually having to glance my eyes all the way up to the upper left corner to check my runes is not something I'm very good at. So, I may suck as a Death Knight, guys, just a heads up. I know it's nothing new. I'm also not used to Frost. My Death Knight isn't Holy and Blood, so I actually don't really know how to play Frost. Here we go. Yeah, I kind of agree, Hylisk. We really do kind of need to get rid of the dichotomy thing at this point. It really has run its course. That's not who I wanted. Oh, hey. How appropriate that I would get this mount. Given where I am. Surprised I haven't seen that one yet. I'll just respec if I have to, Deutsch. I'm also going to go up here because this is a better spawn, right? That, my dear Deutsch, was a demon. I was riding a Fellhound, specifically. Kind of like this thing I'm killing right now. It comes with the Legion pre-order. And this is a Brewfest Kodo. Because we all know the one thing our giant lizard things need more of is booze. I also got the pet version of it, which I don't even remember what that's called. That's great. There we go. Is that it? No. No, that's not it. Not actually sure what it's called, but I got a pet from it too, I remember that. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Welcome back, Enigma. Why is there just suddenly an elite here? Oh, whatever. Apparently I can kill it. Anyone remember when Death Knights were stupidly overpowered? Please, no jokes about how they're still stupidly overpowered. I mean, when they were just stupidly overpowered. During the beta, my friend and I finished the Death Knight Starter Zone, such as it is, came here to Outland, and at level 58 immediately went over into Zangarmarsh. There were a couple of elites over here we remembered, so we went to go after those elites to see how we did. And we absolutely destroyed them at level 58. It was a lot of fun. It's a shame they had to nerf them back to actually being balanced. Yeah, 5 Death Knight groups were actually pretty common for doing a lot of the instances around here, because they could just mulch through everything and heal themselves as they were doing it. I was, of course, Frost at the time, because of course I was. It was the, well, tanking spec. Gotta put that in quote-unquotes, though, because it wasn't really a tanking spec. This place was a continent. Really is probably the best way to put that, Enigma. Hey, Agenix.
What's on your mind? See you soon. Off with you.
Light be with you. Go with honor, friend.
But yeah, as we see in other works, most especially Warlords of Draenor, we see that there are other continents out there. They're just, you know, they were over here. In fact, I can actually kind of show you. You can see the beginning, see that continent over there in the southwest corner? That was one of the major ogre settlements back when that was a thing. Yes, I have, Kalesh, and no, I don't agree with it. Why do you ask? Also, I don't think Rinoa is Ultimecia while we're on the topic. Damn. God, it's so weird being on this frickin' thing. Okay, so it was a continent, and then the world kinda sorta got destroyed, and this continent kinda got blasted into a state of cosmic flux, where it was kind of half drifting through, you know, normal space and mostly drifting through the nether, which is one of the reasons why we don't have a standard sky, because we're not actually cohesive, basically.
You got my attention. Watch your back. How are ya? Safe travels.
Need help? Light bless you.
Okay. So, on the Horde, for this quest chain, we went and did some more bombing stuff. Now, we're going to do that here, too. But this is a nice little variant on the Alliance side, which I actually really enjoy. Actually, Betty, this is day 4. I started on Saturday. The funny thing is, I have a lot more to talk about in the future than I do for the sections I'm going through right now. I feel bad because of how little I have to talk about for several of these Outland sections. So this is an Alliance encampment on a single chunk of rock hovering out here over the abyss of the Nether. I want to ask how many of you guys would feel really, really self-conscious or have height problems. Oh, I'm totally prepared, Unix. Working on a chunk of rock floating in the abyss of the Nether. Remember, if you fall, well, yeah, you're screwed forever. And ever, never, never. Now, as you can kind of see, gravity doesn't quite work the same way. There's chunks of the actual tower just kind of floating there, so it's possible you might not just fly off into oblivion immediately. But you think that's bad? Let me get further into that. A fresh worgen from the mainland. Don't worry, Shatterpoint will make you queasy, but she doesn't stray far. And I've only seen her flip upside down once or twice. The Wing Commander Gryffindor runs this outpost. This is your first time. You should report to him.
Be good.
So yeah, if you didn't catch that, this section occasionally literally just flips upside down. It's okay. All you have to do is find something to hold on to and grip to it for dear life while you wait for it to reload. I can't do Scottish accent, so I just do a Dwarven accent. It's much better.
Great to meet you.
Oh, you spoke with Rundog. A fine dwarf he is. Keep his griffins in good shape and his battle ready. I'm Gryffindor, commander here at Shatterpoint. I know it's not pretty, but this hunk of rock is a vital staging point for all sorties into the Hellfire. You see griffins flying out and in non-stop. Advice? Here's some. Keep your gear stowed, your stomach empty, and your eyes on the horizon. If Shatterpoint starts to teeter, grab onto something that won't float away. You thought I was kidding, didn't you? You thought I was kidding. People just grab on for dear life while this platform, this floating hunk of rock, turns upside freaking down. I have a little bit of a problem with heights, as I've talked about before. Half-Life 2 I talked about with that. So I could just imagine being on here and looking up and seeing the horizon just kind of doing this and going like, that's the whole thing. And then I look up at the abyss beneath me as the platform. And we don't even know how long it takes to right itself. Imagine if it's upside down for like 10 minutes. And you're just, or longer. How about an hour? So you're just clinging to this thing for an hour. Like, oh, it's starting to right itself again. An hour later. Could you picture that?
See you soon.
Because I can, and it terrifies me. Oh my god.
Hi.
Now that you've got your wings, perhaps you'd be interested in running another bombing mission. This time we've isolated the Legion's main production area. Oh god, my accent's blending. Behind the 4 camps to the north. I need you to get a Griffin on and destroy the whole damned thing. Here are your bombs. Now talk to the wind, Bella, when you're ready.
Watch your back.
Watch your back. Yeah, 2 minutes? Do it for an hour. Understand pain and nightmare. Unholy.
Well,
death. Whoops.
keep your feet on the ground.
You're not who I wanted to talk to. Oh, he's up here. I'm stupid. I haven't done these quests on the Alliance in quite a while. Yeah, being assigned here has got to be the worst freaking job in the Alliance right now. Holy crap. Where is this guy? Is he on the other side? Maybe? Hello, computer? Hmm. Oh, there he is. God, couldn't even see
How are you?
her, apparently. Okay, to the shelf.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Keep your feet on the ground. I can't! The ground is moving! Well, Hylisk, we do know for a fact that is correct, Squidgeared. We do know for a fact that you can actually fall into the nether. That's happened in lore in addition to the gameplay side of things. So you can just go floating out into the nether. It is also within the realm of possibility you could be saved from that. Like, for example, if you drifted off, a dwarf or, you know, whoever with a flying mount, with a griffin or whatever, could probably get out to you and save you in time before you went out and died horribly of starvation. Or worse, never died. So it's not as bad as I'm making it out to sound, but I don't think the more irrational side of my mind would be able to accept that, as I'm hanging from a lamppost upside down on a chunk of rock in the middle of nothing for an hour. You know what I mean? This is not an assignment I would enjoy. So here's a story just for those of you who really don't like heights. I once went skiing at Donner Pass. Go ahead, get your jokes out of the way. It's all good. There was a particular slope I did, which was basically an optical illusion. It was actually like a nice, gentle slope, fairly easy, but because of the way that it lipped up to the slope, it looked like it was a sheer cliff. Like if I was to go over the edge, I would just plummet into the abyss. And the only way to tell that that actually wasn't a plummet into the abyss was to get right up next to the plummet into the abyss. And I was so scared, irrationally scared, as I was coming up to it, that I couldn't bring myself to go down that slope. I was just like, come on. Come on. or Donner Park, whatever it's actually called, the one in the Sierras in Northern California. So I want you to just picture as you're on your skis, and you're basically being pushed up to the oblivion. There's just nothing there. There's the sky, and that's all you see, and it's like, oh god, oh god, oh god. And you know it's just going to go down, but it's okay because it was actually a very slanted slope, and it was actually pretty easy to go down. I just didn't realize that at the time. Anyways, actually, Hylisk, I've always believed that gravity exists in the Nether because magic. Just picture the confetti just now. The Fel Reavers are our friends, Ojinix. The Fel Reavers are on our side. We should embrace them.
What can I do for ya? Off with you. See you soon.
So yeah, the quests on this side are a little bit different. Just a little. Let's go ahead and put that over there.
Hello. See you soon.
Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'll stop, Last Echo. You might wonder why they don't actually render the bottom of Outland. It's because it would actually take too much... it would take too much time to actually set it up so that it's rendering the bottom. Like, rendering the bottom would actually take... By the way, hi, Fiminator. It would take too much time and effort and resources to render the underside of a continent, right? Like, that's actually taking up CPU cycles and graphics and all that other kind of fun stuff. So they decided rather to just do a termination thing. In other words, basically at a certain point, the terrain's height value goes to 0. So it just goes all the way down to the bottom of the map. So that's why it looks like it does when you're actually looking over the edge there. I don't have many stories, because one of the first things I saw when I came to Outland was a Fel Reaver, even when it was laggy as crap. Most of my horror stories are when I'm kind of zoned in or really distracted by trying to take out a quest or whatever, and so I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god, really focused on trying to defeat the enemies or the packs or whatever that I'm fighting, and so I'm fighting that, and all of a sudden I just hear this massive immediately behind me, and literally, like, because of how I place my camera, the next thing I see is a Fel Reaver's foot come down in between the camera and my character, and then I was freaking dead because he obliterated me. Fel Reavers can sneak up on you surprisingly well. Correct, Tuttle. After a certain point, you just get to the point where your Z-axis is no longer calculated, and it's just gone. And so it just... Originally, there was actually a thing in the game, and I mean originally as in, like, we're talking the very early betas of BC, where you would just keep falling all the way to the actual bottom, and then you would die from impact damage, because there is actually a floor down there. You know, the actual floor of the game, or the zone, rather. But then they realized that that took a little bit too long of time and kind of killed some of the visual illusion of the situation. And, oh, really? You know what? I don't even care. Abandon. So instead they created that whoa thing to kind of speed it up and to indicate the fact that you just fell into the Twisting Nether.
What can I do for you?
Actually, where am I going? I'm going this way. I need to go to the front.
Welcome. Safe travel.
There we go. That's what I meant to her last time. Yeah, they had ogre stealth tactics. I love their sound, by the way. It's a nice sound. It's a unique sound, too. It's the pre-Reaper sound, you know what I mean? Long before the Reapers ever were twinkling in anybody's eyes, there was suddenly this because of the Fel Reavers. Oh god, yeah, this whole zone was fantastic at launch. One of my specific fond memories is I was starting at the Dark Portal, and I walked out and I saw Janine, who was in my party, and like, that's it? And I'm like, okay. And that was it, nobody else there, so I start running, and there was no NPCs. And I'm like, huh, it's weird. And there was no enemies. Well, that's weird. And I just kept running and running and running. I went from the Dark Portal all the way down over here towards where that Zeppelin is. And the terrain was, of course, still there because of the nature of how WoW runs, but nothing was rendered. And I'm just like, huh. And I'm like, Janine, can you see anything? She's like, nope, I've lost you. And I'm like, yeah, I have no idea where I am now. And meanwhile, general chat was filled with people going like, oh my god, I think I found an enemy. One enemy? Yeah, where is it? Quick! And then like 20 people swarmed over to the spot where the one enemy was actually spawned. And we were all like swarming around it and like, oh my god, we finally found an enemy. And then one guy rushed forward and killed it like a jackass. And it's like, no! We've lost our only enemy in the whole zone. None of us can progress now. It was pretty funny. Not as funny as the pre-Wrath times, though. Trust me, that was a messed up launch.
King's honor, friend.
So pay close attention. We've been surveying the Legion camps that lie on the ridge ahead. We have reason to believe that these are Forge camps, and they're the ones building Reavers. The only way to stop the Reapers is unconventionally. So we need you to go in there and use some kind of bullcrap magic, the space magic kind of a thing, in order to ensure that we can Deus Ex Machina them into defeat. If we manage this, then we will have victory at last. That's our donation incentive we're running kind of continuously to see which transmog suit we wear, Tuttle Z. Oh, there he is. So, I guess I'll tell you the story now. I mean, I could share it later, but honestly, I don't have anything to talk about right now. So when Wrath of the Lich King went live, Northrend was completely inaccessible. Couldn't go to it at all. And the weirdest thing is, only certain zones were loaded. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by that, allow me to try and explain a little bit. Try to remember... Oh, hey, there's a rare. Try to remember that this game doesn't actually function by zones, particularly. This game functions in terms of instances. So all of Outland and the Blood Elf and Night and Draenei starter zones, that's all one instance. That's all one server, okay? All of Kalimdor, that's another server. All of the Eastern Kingdoms, that's another server. You with me so far? So, Wrath goes live, and me and Gary and Janine and Pax and like everyone I know, it was a bunch of us, it was like 10 of us. We're all on trying to do anything. And the game was so utterly broken that half of the characters we couldn't even log on. It actually reached the point where each of us had like 7 alts all online at the same time. As we were desperately trying to get in on anyone who could actually load long enough to do anything. But the really funny part that I'll never forget is certain zones were safe. And so we went exploring. Like, so we'd get on a character who was on Shatrith, for example, and we'd like, okay, I'm going to head into Terakar and see what happens. Okay, Terakar's safe, so I can roam through Terakar without issue. Okay, now I'm going to try to go to Nagrand, and then locked out, and so that character is now stuck in Nagrand. So we'd hop on another character who was in Shatrith, like, okay, I'm going to try to go to Shadowmoon. That character's locked out. The one zone I remember most particularly was actually Zangarmarsh. Zangarmarsh was the place where I just hung out. Like, I just got on my flying mount and floated around Zangarmarsh for God knows how long. Because it was the one zone that was safe. No lag problems, no disconnect issues, and I could talk with everyone else who was online just fine, as long as I didn't leave Zangarmarsh. So I'm just flying around, like, this area, around where the Serpent Shrine Caverns area is, for a couple of hours, just chatting with everyone, as everyone else is, like, trying to figure out how to access any other part of the game. It was so broken. It was funny. Never mind. Don't even talk to me about trying to make the Death Knight starter zone function. That didn't work until like the next day. It's actually kind of a shame. I know this sounds really weird, but me and several of my friends were excited about how we tend to get excited about acclimation patches and launch releases because so many of the past ones have been so buggy and broken that it's been funny, that it's been enjoyable. Well, the last couple of expansions, Warlords and Pandaria, have actually been really smooth. I know you're going to make fun of me for that because, you know, oh, we couldn't go through the portal in Warlords. But no, trust me, that was smooth compared to what was happening in the old days. And so we were like, oh, man, there's nothing special. It's just, we can't zone in, and that's it. Damn it, I was hoping for, like, really broken terrain or something. Oh, well. Oh, well, I guess we'll... At that point, it's not fun anymore. Oh, I'm about to die. Ah, I'm about to die. Wasn't paying attention. My fault. I really... Remind me to buy some food when I get back to town so I can heal with something. I think I will save my thoughts about the launch events, though. I've already talked about the BC launch event, so, you know, that's already discussed. But I kind of want to talk about the, you know, the Wrath and the Cataclysm launch event when it's more relevant, aka when we're actually approaching those expansions. What? Everything was just so smooth. Where'd this guy go? Oh, there he is. I wanted broken zones and barely being able to log in, but also being able to log in while interacting with people. And certain specific servers are down, but other ones are up. So I can open a trade window, but I can't actually trade anything because the inventory server's down. Come on, I want my broken game. Give me my broken fix. I need it. I need my broken drown. I mean... Oh, God, yeah, the getting into the garrison, getting out of the garrison problem. God, that was terrible. Still not nearly as broken as what I'm describing, but terrible. Yeah, I actually talked about the opening of the Gates of Ankaraji when we were doing AQ20 and AQ40. Yesterday, I think, is when we talked about that.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
Kind of wish I was level 60 already. I know. Wine, right? It would be nice, though, because then I could go straight to the quests I know are Alliance-specific and stop doing these rehash quests. But right now, every quest I have is actually orange. Because I'm still 58. I'm almost 59, though. Whoa, crap. I should probably put a rune on my weapon. I need to remember to do that. Where's my hearth set to? I don't have a hearthstone. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to get a hearthstone in Stormwind. It's okay. I can make that work. It's just gonna take a little more travel time is all. Oops, I'm doing these things next. No, stop stealing my kills. Damn you. Yeah, I have the Debon Gate thing. You actually can't leave. It's literally impossible to leave the Death Knight starter zone without the Death Gate ability. That's how you leave it, actually. So, like I said, I can make that work. It's just going to take a little more travel time. Oh my god, really? Really? I don't want to fight you. You're not relevant. Go away. Go away! Well, guys, I've officially run out of lore to talk about. There's no more lore to talk about. We're going to cut off the lore one. Let me think about this. What's a good thing to discuss while I'm running through Hellfire Peninsula? Yeah, no, but getting back here would involve a trip too, Hylisk. I was actually also thinking about setting up for transmogs. Make something up. Once upon a time, there was a grand poobah of elephants, and as he walked through the valleys and meadows of Sunshine Park, he realized, unfortunately, he was actually a gorilla. And then he ripped off the arms of all those present and ate them. The end. Oh my god, die! There we go. Death with honor! Except I got dazed! So no death with honor. Damn it, I got dazed. Favorite series of gear from expansion that you didn't... Wait, what? Least favorite series of gear from what expansion that you didn't like, rather by colors or design? I don't understand your question. You're going to have to help me out with that. Really? Deathcloth. I didn't actually know that. Well, shoot. I suppose I could go Runeforge my weapon, if that is in fact true. What have I got right now? Nothing good. An Enigma lore run. Once upon a time, there was this guy named Enigma, and then he leapt off into the nether and died. The end. Also, I'd just like to say, Tier 3 Warrior still looks pretty awesome, in my opinion. I had a suit based off of it for a while.
Be careful.
Alright, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's see if this actually works. Let's see if your weird and wild claims are true. I don't think there's ever been an expansion I actively don't like the gear from. There's been something I like in basically every expansion, here and there. I suppose the expansion whose gear I like the least overall would probably be Cataclysms. I really didn't like the early raids tier stuff, and the Dragon Soul gear was a little bit too old gaudy for my taste.
Me like shiny.
Why do I still have this? Get out of my inventory. Yes, I raided in Vanilla. And BC, and Wrath. That's it. 55. I guess that's as I'm getting right now, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I wasn't really thinking about tier sets, admittedly. What is that person wearing? Oh, the slut armor. Okay then. Whoops. Ah, shoot. Enigma, he had to. It was the only way to get more cowbell. Yes, I have covered several raids and will continue to cover them in the future. Also, good night, Kemek. What is this? God damn it. Stop blinking me this freaking video. Ah! Destroy everything. Ah! Yeah. Yeah. There. Okay. Okay. Back into it. It is part of the song of it, yes, Tuttle. Hey, I'm back. Except I'm in kind of a weird spot, but that's okay. Alright. For the record, I didn't buy this mount, I actually earned it. Took me a while, though, because my raid was terrible. They wanted to give Shadowmourne to the warrior with the highest DPS. He was an idiot who was constantly spamming AoE in order to try and artificially boost his numbers, even when it was actually making the raid worse, like actually making it so that we were in threat of dying because he was killing off ads on the Lich King, just to name one example of that. And then he was the first one in the raid to get Shadowmourne. He immediately guild quit, and we never saw him again. You know what's funny is most of the, you know, loot ninjas or similar stories I have are from vanilla, back when it was a lot easier to do that. That's pretty much one of the only stories I have of that in the more modern era. And I still can't believe he pulled that garbage. Like, really, I'm a little surprised by that. That warrior's name was Dr. Wily. Or wait. Missive. I don't remember the warrior's name. And I don't care. Idiot McGee. That's his name. Anyone else have the problem when they're playing Tauren or any other large race? They feel like they're walking even when they're running. I have that problem on Tauren, Pandaren, and Worgen. It's like... And I look down and it's like, am I walking? And I check, nope, I'm not. I'm at run speed. Okay, just making sure. I don't know, Hylisk. I'm not joking when I say we never heard from him again. He just frickin' vanished. He might have actually unsubbed. Or server transferred, because that was a thing at the time. He's, yeah. He was a bastard. Oh, no kidding, third. Oh, my God. Cool.
Well met. Go with honor, friend.
Yay, 59. Okay. I need to go back.
How are you?
I don't want to go to Shatterpoint.
Safe travels. Well met.
Also, getting back to our thing earlier with regards to our floating island over there. Don't you worry. Shatterpoint is as sturdy as they come. But just in case, be ready to jump off on a griffin if the base starts to break apart. In other words, on the off chance that the rock literally starts to break apart and stops being able to maintain itself in the air, make sure there's a griffin handy.
Keep your feet on the ground.
You know, just in case. Just in case things kind of go horrifically badly. I suppose I will hearth here for the moment for lack of any other option. And thus you earned the hatred of everyone in the world, Ajunix. Good night, Injata. Okay. So, the next series of quests I want to do has to do with Honorhold's more tenuous hold on the area. So, as I kind of already mentioned, Thrallmar was pretty much thrown together by the Horde once they got here. Just quick. Okay, we're good. But remember, Honorhold has been here for the past like 16 plus years, or however long it's actually. I suppose I can look it up really quick. Hang on. Honorhold has been here for 19 years. Excuse me, it's a little longer than I thought. I had the wrong variable of 3. I haven't decided today, King Bubble. I have to admit, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about, which is why I was going to go into some other stuff. In fact, let's check our notes here. So, why don't we talk about... Where is he? Where's his name? No, we don't want to talk about that here. No, we don't want to talk about that here. Hang on. Oh my God. Aha! Okay, so Ner'zhul, as I discussed earlier, was quite a bit of a seer, right? And actually a rather well-versed shaman. Not exactly a good guy, but never an evil person. Not until he got a hold of the skull, right?
Hey there.
That's the PvP
Safe
quest.
travel.
So he kept having visions over and over and over. And no matter what he did, he couldn't get away from these visions. These visions were always of death. These visions were of nightmarish, horrible, undead things, and he couldn't get away from those thoughts. Now,
what can I do for you?
See you later.
So we know now that his visions were actually of him becoming the eventually being consumed by the essences and whatnot of the Lich King, and becoming the first Lich King, or Gul'dan becoming the first Lich King. But at the time, the very first person he encountered after having those great visions was Teron Gorefiend. Gorefiend was a Death Knight at this point in time, as I've already discussed. Kind of a prototype Death Knight is actually probably a better way to call that particular brand of Death Knight, I think. They were, of course, dead. And so when Gorefiend approached Ner'zhul, his response was, I have seen visions of you. So whatever it is Gorefiend wanted to do, Ner'zhul assumed that Gorefiend, was the lead towards what he wanted. He was the person who was going to guide him. It was his destiny or whatever. So Gorefiend is actually the one who came up with the idea to open the different portals. Now Gorefiend's idea was, we will open new portals and conquer new lands and new civilizations. Ner'zhul, of course, was like, we will open new portals and get the hell out of Dodge. As I've already discussed in a little bit of detail. But I find it interesting that Teron Gorefiend was the one who precipitated those events, and was the one who was skilled enough with the portals and portal logic in order to actually be able to craft those new portals, which are the ones that actually ended up rending Draenor into Outland. So maybe Gorefiend wasn't as skilled as we thought. Gorefiend did survive that instance, kind of. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. I suppose I shouldn't be talking about Gorefiend now. We'll actually meet him later on. Damn it, I have nothing to talk about right now. So let's take some quests instead. The reinforcements are great, but I don't want to see him hauling any wagons loaded with ingots or timber. Take a look around, friend. Trees are in short supply, and the mines are overrun with Legion scum. I'm in the bad way for supplies, and making what substitutions I can, but it's time to start reusing what we can. The southern edge of the Path of Glory is strewn with ruins of siege machinery. Some pieces of them are still usable. Feeling up to a bit of a salvage operation?
Off with you.
Okay. Correct, Hylisk.
Hello.
Ah, good. We need all the help we can get. The increasing Fel Orc presence concerns me.
Be careful.
So, go
Have a good
kill
one.
orcs.
What can I do for you?
Near the end of our invasion, the armory to the south fell into the horde's insidious death knights. Those vile shades cursed the armory's defenders and trapped their souls between the realms of the living and the dead. Those noble souls must be set free. I beg of you, Xylom, end my comrades' torment. I do not have the heart to slay them myself.
For the Alliance.
And if you see any Forsaken player trying to convince others to kill them in order to bring them to heal, try to tell them that that's not how you convince people to join your side. It's not really the best of diplomacy. Good night, Enigma. I might go to sleep soon anyways myself. I'm admittedly very tired. It's been a long series of days. And I didn't actually get a break in either of the previous 2 days because of circumstances. So I might just make an early night of it.
Hey there.
The priest's gaze slowly moves from his mug to you. Don't you know better than to bother a man and his cups? Oh, what's the use? I suppose newcomers are a good sign. What would Terrellian think? I remember the eve of our departure, when I gave Mysteries of the Light to him. During the campaign and ensuing years, he never forgot to read his daily passage to the men. When he left us again, he gave the book back to me. Like a fool, I believed it safe in my quarters, south in the armory.
Safe travels.
Safe travels, you gotta say it right. Oh, anyone remember when they introduced gems to the game? When sockets were first introduced to the game? Anyone remember this? Anyone then remember when gems were removed from the game? Actually, Cashel, I was going to talk about that when we get to Auchindoun. Because the music in there, I swear to God, actually is Diablo 2 music. But yeah, the music done in most of BC was done by Matt Uleman. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Hey, Salty. And he does a good job of it, and it's very atmospheric, but it's also very, very Diablo.
The Naru have not forgotten us.
What is it, Death Knight? I sense you found something that speaks of a coming doom. How fortuitous it is you intercepted this missive that you did. Though it will take some time to decipher, I can already sense the hatred and urgency woven into this scroll. I fear the Legion's true motives in this land will soon be made evident. Give me a moment to decipher. It is just as I feared. Arik Samar, the demon you killed earlier, was working for a secret Legion Lord, Arazius the Cruel. It appears this new villain has amassed a force of hellish Terrafiends near the pools of Agonar. You must journey there and slay the Terrafiends before they strike against us. But be wary, friend. The pools of Agonar lie a tortured, poisonous valley. You can find the pools to the northwest. The light be with you.
Be kind to those less fortunate.
The Path of Glory, they called it. This is the road I've referenced several times. A road leading from the heart of their gruesome fortress to the dark portal, paved with the bones of my people. It wasn't enough for them to hunt us down like animals, destroy our cities, torture those who survived. No. They had to use our bones as paving stones, denying my brethren a proper burial under the light. Those tortured souls still wander these lands, crying out for release. I ask you, help me in this undertaking.
Need help?
Be well.
I want to look at this guy's things really quick. Give me a moment. So this guy who's pacing over here, he has a bunch of really funny lines that I was hoping to showcase, but I'm just going to have to go and look up and hope I can find a reciting. Here we go. What manner of... So he says a bunch of random stuff as you're wandering around. What manner of fool opens the very thing we were sent to close? Referring to the dark portal. Have you heard? Have you heard the preposterous proclaims? Alliance and Horde supporting peace? Why, the very thought of the thing makes my blood boil. To trust an orc? Even if it's the progeny of Duratan himself? This is madness! 20 years lost. 20! I won't stand for this. I have a good mind to tear that portal down myself. This is outrageous. And then my personal favorite, he'll walk up to the mailbox and say, a mailbox? Well, is that not salt on the wounds? 20 years cut off from the world, and now a mailbox. Wonderful. Oh, absolutely, Ojunix. There's a reason why every time I've streamed this game, I've made a point of mentioning it whenever I go into the area. And I talked about it earlier, actually. Hey, Mr. KJ, we are nowhere. We are absolutely nowhere. We are progressing. What? Did I not? I forgot a quest. I must be getting out of it. Actually, yes and no, Cashel. The answer is yes, but they didn't really realize it because the severe amount of magic just kind of flowing through this area, since we're basically in the Nether, sustained them. Just like it sustained any other elves here. It's actually one of the reasons why Kael'thas and the majority of the Kael elves wanted to turn this into this new Blood Elf or High Elf paradise. Because if properly tamed and controlled and terraformed, this could actually be a paradise planet for the Blood Elves because of the natural connection to the Nether. Naturally, he didn't do that because evil, but you know, it could have been a thing. If I was inclined to connect the pieces together, I'd say that might have been what convinced them of the the possibility of that to begin with. So another nice little touch here. It's never stated outright. They could still do that as of now. That is correct, Archmonster. This place could still be turned into a paradise for the elves. I mean, you would... Although, So the Dark Portal itself was actually converted into the portal leading into the past. We don't know in lore the actual status of that portal in lore now that Warlords is over. It might still lead to the past Draenor. It might have been reattuned to the present Outland. The reason this is relevant is because it's entirely possible that all of those on Outland are trapped here forever, basically, until they establish a new portal. Because it's entirely possible that all contact with Azeroth has actually been shut off as a result of the Dark Portal being redirected. Now, I don't think that's true personally, but it is something that is within the realm of possibility. The more likely thing is that with the Dark Portal reconnected, only people who actually have magical power and portal knowledge, you know, mages, in other words, higher mages, probably have the ability to go back and forth between Shattrath and the other capital cities, and that's the only connecting point that Outland has been able to maintain with Azeroth. I wouldn't mind seeing it kind of like as a side story, maybe not in an expansion, but as a side story, you could have this whole story arc about how they're trying to basically reestablish a major portal connection, a major portal conduit between Outland and between Azeroth so that they can reconnect and start working on the future and start trying to reclaim Outland and turn it into as we've discussed before, a paradise, you know, something better than what they have. But who knows if that'll ever happen or not. And again, that probably doesn't deserve to be main content, so it probably wouldn't be in WoW proper. The doppelgangers. You know, I don't want to talk about this now, but I've kind of run out of things to talk about anyway, so let's just go ahead and hit the messy issue, okay? I have actually spent considerable time thinking about how I would approach the Warlords of Draenor problem and try to do better. And I have come up with nothing. I'm dead serious. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, the desire and intent was twofold. They wanted to bring Gul'dan back, and since he was so thoroughly dead, they felt like resurrecting him would be a cheat. I know, right? And so they wanted Gul'dan back so he could kick off the Legion expansion. He was critical, mandatory for the Legion expansion to push forward. And they also wanted to really explore old Draenor's lore and to really twist and change with it and see, you know, what would happen if we were to be able to go back in time. That was the desire. I don't think that would necessarily have to be the end of the story, no, Isaac. So, with that desire, you really have extremely few choices to make, or options available to you. Option number one, have them go back in time to have the story and have it fundamentally alter history. And in so doing, you then have to update the present, which is a massive pain in order to actually do. Possible. I don't want to say that it isn't. But that would be a big hassle, and a lot of people would probably hate that. So that's the first option. The second option is have them try to do some kind of, like, you know, we go back in time, but it doesn't actually alter history because of the Bronze Flight. Except, as we've already established, the Bronze Flight has lost their powers at that point in time. So the only way for that to actually be feasible is for the Bronze Flight to come up with some kind of new power which either brings time travel back into the fray, or, and this is the worst option, people actually invent time travel machines, like the goblins come up with a time travel machine or something. And that leads to time travel being a normal thing, which is a terrible idea. For those of you not aware, one of the reasons they decided to have the Aspects lose their powers at the end of Cataclysm was so that time travel would stop being a thing in Warcraft. I'm serious, that was one of the motivations. As long as time travel exists, it's difficult to write interesting stories because time travel can always turn back virtually any decision you ever make. It's a hassle. It's a hassle to deal with, right? And I agree with that. Writing, as soon as you introduce time travel, you have to do it extremely carefully and extremely precisely, and they didn't when they introduced the Bronze Flight. So removing it was actually a good move, in my opinion. Get rid of the time travel of Warcraft. It's a mess, and it barely fits anyways, right? So they didn't want to do that. So what are their options left at that point? it was all a dream. Maybe like an alternate dimension. Aha, that's it. We'll go to an alternate Draenor where nothing matters and nothing has any consequences ever. Brilliant! And that's what they ended up actually doing. Because one of the things you'll notice, if you ever listen to any of the, the people talking about the lore, events, I don't know what to call about that. When people are sitting up and being interviewed about it, and they're trying to discuss the lore of Warlords of Draenor and the alternate timeline and all that garbage, one of the things that they emphasize over and over and over and over and over again, just constantly, is we don't want to think about alternate Azeroth at all. As far as we're concerned, it doesn't exist. As far as we're concerned, it's not even there. We don't even want to consider it into the equation. The problem is, the moment they opened up an alternate freaking timeline, they opened up a massive can of worms, actually worse than if they had actually opened up the time travel can of worms. They wanted to basically cheat. They wanted to say, okay, here's this alternate pocket bubble, but I want you to pretend like it doesn't have any other consequences. No alternate realities, no alternate peoples, no alternate legion. I want you to just all pretend that this is this one little pocket story, and then we'll go back to the main story. There's a time and a place for those. Those are called Elseworld stories, which I've talked about extensively on my show. WoW did not need an Elseworld story. I'm sorry, it didn't. There were plenty of other ways to make this work that would have been, at the very least, less objectionable. No good ways. As I said, I spent considerable time trying to come up with some ways to satisfy the desire for the old Draenor story, and I have failed. Now, there is one thing worth noting. If WoW was a co-RPG, they could get away with this a lot easier. And you're probably looking at me weird, like, what do you mean? Imagine if we went back and it wasn't an alternate Draenor. Imagine if we went back and we actually changed history. We actually altered the destiny of everything as a result of going back. Now you might be like, well, that would be terrible. I mean, that would adjust a lot of things. Well, we already know how time travel works with regards to Warcraft, and the most important rule of time travel in Warcraft is the time traveler is immune to the effects of time travel. That's actually a common rule in fiction in general, so that's not exactly unusual. But the point is, any of the people who went back to make those alterations, namely the player characters and any other major NPCs that went with us, they would be aware of the alterations we made, and we'd be coming back to effectively a new Azeroth. Yes, I do, King Bubble. I'm getting a ring soon. What can I say? I like co-op. I am utterly unashamed of that fact. I think more games need co-op. We don't have enough of them in the world. It's always a struggle to find a good co-op game. So anyways, we come back in alternate Azeroth. Everything is completely changed as a result of that. And that would be such an utter shift to the status quo. People would hate it, of course, because people hate everything. But in fairness, there's a lot to genuinely hate about that. I get it. It's a very risky move. And the kind of thing that you don't want to do lightly. So I'm not even sure I would put my stamp on that idea. Of course, the other idea is the one that Isaac just mentioned. Why not literally make it be a prequel? Why not literally make a prequel expansion? Now, bear me out here. Why not have a prequel expansion where you actually go back and you're actually in the past and you roll a new character that is exclusive to that expansion? You can't do any of the other content. You can only do the expansion stuff, right? So you roll a new character, probably an Orc or a Draenei. There's not many options, and you experience the story of old Draenor. You experience that, everything they wanted to tell about that time. The catch there is that they can't do certain things with that. They can't have Thrall meeting the Durotan family. They can't have... they can't actually have Gul'dan be relevant. They can't have the lead up into the Legion, etc. And that was the other goal, as I mentioned before. It wasn't just the old Draenor story. It was the lead up into the Legion story that they really wanted. Well, thank you, Kuzo. It's always nice to hear that I am being enjoyed. I hope you continue to enjoy, even as I continue to have nothing to talk about. My point is this, though, is no matter what decision you make, with the restrictions we have available, which is Old Draenor and lead into Legion, in my opinion, there's no good answer. There's no just, aha, that would work perfectly kind of an answer to that. You know what I mean?
May the light embrace you.
Let's see. This. Fortunately, the path of glory is not the only trace of my people in these lands. To the west, a few of our holy sites survive, although some have been overrun. While Valen prepared for the journey that would lead him to Azeroth, those of us who would remain behind sought to establish a presence at our holy places. In the western part of the peninsula, you will find a small group of Draenei at the Temple of Tel Hamat, led by Amon the Wise. I am certain he would be interested in meeting you. So there's our first going to do purely Alliance quests quest. Yay. See, that's the biggest problem. If the executives came to me and said, we want an old Draenor lead into Legion story, my reaction would be, can we do something else? Can we work it out some other way? I mean, anything, please. Even the time lock idea would appeal to me more. For those of you not aware, there is... I like the old Draenor stuff. Let me make that clear. I like Warlords. I do. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I enjoy the quest and story of Warlords a lot. I think the time lock idea probably would have worked best. For those of you not aware, Warcraft has the concept of a time lock, and unlike a certain Doctor Who I could mention, they actually adhere to their time locks. Once a chunk of time is time locked, no one else can alter that period of history, ever. It's done. That's the end. So, you know, cool, right? So why not just have a time lock on Azeroth for the course of WoW, like from vanilla to Pandaria? Why not have that whole section time locked? Now you might look at me like, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is, what if we went back to Draenor, changed history, but when we get back, this one little chunk of history is still preserved from the original timeline. In other words, what I'm referring to is effectively a merger of the two timelines into one. So we still see some of the individuals from the altered timeline of from the events we did in Draenor, but some of the individuals who are part of the time lock are still present in the original timeline. The story idea I actually postulated was something very similar to that. That we would actually alter history in Draenor, and yeah, kind of like that, Isaac. We would actually alter history in Draenor, and then at the end of the Warlords of Draenor story arc, the two timelines would merge, and the majority of people between them would just merge back into the same person, you know, no duplicates. But anyone who was of sufficiently strong will, or very much did not want to merge, or was just like an aberration, would not merge with their alternate self. So we would have multiple of certain individual characters which we could use for the story. The ones I came up with right off the top of my head were Maiev, Jaina, and actually I think those are the two big ones. Those are the two really big ones for the way I was taking the story, which is a bit of a different direction, obviously. But I think that could have worked as well.
Talk to me.
But, you know. Cataclysm is probably the most hated on expansion, for reasons I've actually already discussed. Yeah.
Very good.
But, I liked Cataclysm. I
you?
don't know what else to add to that. I enjoyed Cataclysm. Sorry. Xylem, in our battles with the Bleeding Hollow clan of the Fell Orcs, we found upon them foreboding trinkets. These orcs have collected the insignias of the fallen Honorhold soldiers and created cursed talismans from them. We fear the dark magic of the Bleeding Hollow orcs has transformed our insignias into evil charms with powers against us. Find a talisman and take it to the expedition point.
Farewell.
Yeah, for those of you not aware, my method of bringing Illidan back was basically to not bring him back, but to have Illidan 2, that is to say, alternate Illidan, be the one who comes back. And that Illidan be the one we actually interact with from this point in time. So leave our Illidan permanently dead, but have alternate Illidan, who is still just sitting over there in Azeroth, come back and be like, ah, you know.
Here there.
We'll meet, Death Knight. Dwarf. Now that the reinforcements are finally arriving, we can recapture some semblance of a normal life. One of our first goals is to restore the flow of men and goods along the road to the southwest, but it must be reclaimed from the crust bursters that overrun the area. If you're willing to give us some help with this menace, you'd have the gratitude of the Suns. Just watch carefully for the disturbed ground they leave in their wake.
Watch your back.
Oh, this mine's been overrun by a plague of Gnarg misfits. Not only do they all run my workers out of the tunnels, they've been pounding away at there night and day. To make things worse, now I've got the North on me back. He says he's going to take away me ale ration if I don't take care of this soon. None of me miners will go in there, and the guards are busy drinking themselves silly. I'm begging you, Xylem, help me out, and the North can take me dignity, but he'll never take me ale.
Be good.
Mortal Strike needs nerfing. Not gonna comment on that at the moment. Do I not have anything? Oh, there it is. Horn of Winter, 65. Okay. I was just confused by that. Okay, it's funny you say that. So, who wants to know why Illidan was originally jailed and branded the betrayer and given the penalty of being imprisoned for all time? Hey, Third Leg. So, here's the answer. So, during the War of the Ancients, he was originally on the side of the evil. He was on Ashara's side. But with the help of his friends and Tyrande in particular, he ended up shifting his mindset towards being one of the good guys. He managed to control the corruption within him and basically became one of the first demon hunters as a result of that action. So he was like, aha! Man, you are so close, Deutsch. It's not even funny. So he was like, aha! At last! I will help the good guys. Now, at one point in time, he ended up betraying them again to Ashara's group. But he ended up then switching sides a third time and helping Malfurion, Tyrande, and the others fighting against Ashara in the actual final battle. So, you might think, oh, clearly this is why he has the reputation of the betrayer. No, all of this was fine. The Night Elves were totally okay with this. He did, after all, fight on the side of good at the end, and did quite literally help save the world, okay? Yes, Nicholas, actually, that's a pretty good parallel, I think. Use the enemy's power against them, it will probably ultimately kill us. It takes a lot of self-discipline and willpower to remain a demon hunter for a long period of time. Anyways, so it's kind of like a warlock situation, actually, when you think about it, because warlocks suffer the same problems and constant threat of corruption daily. So after all of these events, Illidan had come back and was like, "Oh, I have helped us all, but I have don't worry, everyone. For the sake of our people, for the sake of our people having a new future where we can still live and grow and have magical powers and be willing to work into a new, better time, I have brought with me 7 vials." He had dipped, just before the Well of Eternity had collapsed and exploded, he actually dipped 7 vials into it and took them with him, knowing that those vials would be able to recreate the well. Each of those little vials can create basically a miniature Well of Eternity. And those miniature wells may not be quite as powerful, but they will still be massively powerful as a result of the way they are designed. So behold, I have saved our people. So for the horrible, horrendous, nightmarish, unmitigatedly evil act of bringing those vials of the Well of Eternity with him, he was branded the betrayer and sentenced eternal imprisonment. You think I'm kidding. Now, in fairness, he did have a selfish aspect to what he did as well. He wasn't being purely benevolent. I am slanting it a little bit. He wanted to still have magic in his life because he was addicted to magic, and he wanted to still allow others to have magic so they could have a strong and disciplined society. In truth, it was I who was betrayed. He really was not kidding about that. Oh, by the way, as Darchmonster points out, if Illidan had not done this, the elves would not be immortal. I'm serious. If not for those 7 vials, the source of elven immortality would have been permanently lost. Remember that the Night Elves renewed their immortal life from one of the from a tree they grew into one of the wells that was created with one of those vials. If not for that, the Night Elves would have immortal lifespan. The High Elves, the ones who went to Quel'Thalas, also took with them one of the vials to create the Sunwell, which is how they maintained their eternal life. The elves would be a mortal, you know, non-long-living life if not for Illidan's actions. Oh yeah, and also to be fair, the elves are still benefiting from what he did to this day. Illidan was a night elf. He was a very skilled, powerful night elf, an extremely powerful mage who also had the potential to be the strongest druid of all time. In actuality, if Illidan had been allowed to keep being a druid, or had chosen to keep being a druid, he would be the strongest druid in all of history. There would literally be no one who could even begin to match his skill and mastery and power. That's actually one of the specific reasons why Sargeras sought him out. Yes, personally, by the way. He was specifically granted demonic power because of the tremendous magical potential that was in Illidan. He's also one of the very few people who has managed to maintain his willpower and discipline over being a demon hunter, you know, the Grey Warden thing, for basically the entire time. No, they didn't want to take it sleeping. So, okay, I did miss over one step. Forgive me, I forgot one little step. One of the other things that was true is Illidan had already used one of the vials to create a new Well of Eternity. Now, he unveiled this to them as if it was a boon, like it was a gift. Like, I want you to just picture this. Imagine if I walked up to someone who I cared about. You know, I walk up to my sister, and I'm like, "Sis, I got you this gift. Surprise!" And I give her the gift. And my thinking, you know, obviously because of my tone and because how I'm doing this, is that she'll love this gift. This is a great boon to her, and she'll love it, and she'll be happy. This will be great. I'm doing this because I care about her, because I love her. Imagine her response is to lock me away and imprison me for all time. That's kind of what happened to Illidan. Again, there was a selfish aspect to what he did, but he was offering this to his people. He could have kept it to himself. He could have kept all that power to himself, but he created a new Well of Eternity so that the Night Elves could continue going forward, and so that they would have this new spring in order to benefit and flourish their society. Here you go. I have given you this incredible gift. And for that, he was branded betrayer and imprisoned for all time. Or at least that was the sentence. Imprisonment for all time. Because Night Elves are dumb, Azunix. Now, he did give one of those vials away early on. He gave it to Dathramar, the gentleman who eventually would lead the High Elves over to Quel'Thalas and would found Quel'Thalas. So, quick quest interruption here.
How are you?
Wait, what? Oh,
What's
right.
your
Hang on. We actually got to do this thing real quick. Why was that a betrayal? Oh, you mean why did he betray? They're stupid is the answer, Nicolas. They're stupid is the answer. I have no interest in being fair to them. That is way ridiculously overreactive on behalf of the Night Elves. No fairness will be given on this day. That's insane. Humans didn't exist at the time, Deutsch. Literally, they were not a species yet. Yeah, we don't talk about Ronan. We don't talk about Ravenholm. We don't talk about Ronan. If memory serves, Malfurion was one of the more ardent supporters of him being trapped forever. I'm sorry, Hylisk. I get what you're saying. I even understand it. I just can't bring myself to agree. Their incredible reactionary, violent hatred of anything magical was an incredibly irrational thing. That's part of the problem. It was a completely irrational reaction. All magic is always evil is ridiculous. Why would you want that, Nicholas? If he drank them, King? Honestly, he probably would have died. He probably would have been literally burnt from the inside out with the raw magical power. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been able to withstand that. He's not that skilled. Holy crap. It reminds me a lot of everything wrong with the Jedi Order, if I may. Here we go. The, God damn it. The events of Exar Kun were certainly devastating and horrible, and I understand that, and I even agree with it. But just like with the Night Elves, the Jedi Order's reaction was to go way in the opposite extreme, and to just go way to the furthest extent of all this must be mashed out, and we must never allow this ever again. And again, I stand by my statement that both the Night Elves and the Jedi Order were stupid for the same reason. Reactionary extremism in the opposite direction. It's a variant on pendulum theory. Oh, there's a couple. I wonder if I can yank. I cannot. They probably did, King Bubble. And yeah, as you point out, as if Illidan actually wanted that. You just want to bring the demons back! And it's like, no. Now, what Hylisk says is true. I'm still not gonna defend the Night Elves, ever. But what he says is true. Illidan did not go through the proper channels. He did not deal with the bureaucratic garbage necessary in order to have proper authorization in order to create a new Moonwell. He just did it. He just did it and made it happen. I'm probably slanting my opinion a little bit based on how I'm saying it, but seriously. Screw the Night Elves. Malfurion varies in how intelligent he is. Honestly, Malfurion is actually a very reasoned, intelligent, wise individual who is still very balanced and approaches things intelligently and diplomatically, unless it has to do with Illidan. Illidan is literally Malfurion's weakness. He is the one chink in his mental armor. He can't deal with his brother at all. He's never been able to. Probably Cashel. Illidan was very stupidly romantic. I said this the other day, but I'd just like to reiterate it because I mean it. I think, you know, intellectually and speaking as a writer, the character of Tyrande probably would have been a better match with Illidan than with Malfurion. Well, it depends, Dark Monster. Either it takes a lifetime of study and work and effort, or you have to be in Tor. Those are the requirements, one of the two. Yeah, that is another thing that's worth noting. The Night Elves, in reaction to him creating a new Moonwell, said, "Awesome, we're immortal again!" Actually, that's being a little disingenuous. The next thing that happened was the dragons actually grew something that we now refer to as the World Tree, Nordrassil. They basically grew Nordrassil in the new Well of Eternity, and that new Nordrassil is what then gave them their immortal life from that point on. We'll see, Ojunix. We'll see. I will say this. I do think that Malfurion having a weakness in his brother actually not only makes sense, but is actually good writing, as weird as that sounds. Lord knows in real life, and I'm sure a lot of you understand what I mean by this, there's someone you just can't tolerate, you know? Reason or logic just goes out the window when you have to deal with insert person here. And I'm not even necessarily talking about hating them or whatever. It's just really, really difficult working with them, and really, really difficult not being antagonistic towards them or gelling with them or merging with them, or you're just constantly locking horns, that kind of a thing. And that really is what Illidan and Malfurion's situation is. That being said, I will say that Illidan tends to be a lot more tolerant and understanding of Malfurion then Malfurion tends to be of Illidan. I hate to quote here, but Illidan pretty much is the one who said, "I have known nothing but centuries of hatred for you, but for my part, I'd like it to stop." Keeping in mind, Illidan was the wronged party in that particular case. And Illidan was the one who reached out the olive branch to his brother. I think that's significant. That Illidan was the one willing to reach out a hand to his brother. Malfurion wasn't. I'm pretty sure Dormu didn't because of the nightmare connections with Teldrassil. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, we do know that the nightmare was actually in Teldrassil. But I don't want to get too much into that. I'd rather have something to talk about when we get to the Night Elf Starter Zone. I'm talking about so many things that I'd like to talk about later because I have nothing to talk about right now. Maybe I should just stop streaming. What do you guys think? It's funny you say that, Darch. Those of you who weren't actually... Oh no, the nightmare's still going even as of now. Giova. So for those of you who didn't hear it, I spent a while detailing exactly what I would have done if I was in charge of Warlords. Now, when I said this, Warlords was not done yet. Warlords had just come out, and I was putting together exactly how I would get Warlords to, for lack of a better term, work. Yeah, the Army of Light idea. Hylisk knows about it. He and I actually talked about it back and forth. So the way I would have done it, make alternate Draenor actually matter to alternate everything else. So imagine this for a moment. Alternate Azeroth, okay? Alternate Azeroth actually exists, okay? Just bear with me. And as they're going... Damn it, Last Echo. As alternate Azeroth has never had the Dark Portal incident, their history is exactly the same as our Azeroth's right up until the situation with Sargeras and Aegwynn and Medivh, okay? So most of the old ancient past is exactly the same. Okay, you with me so far? This is going to be relevant later. So the idea I had was, why not have alternate Azeroth actually be relevant? Why not have us actually interact with several of alternate Azeroth's characters as we open the Dark Portal to go to alternate Azeroth in the present? There were several things we wanted to do there, because one of the things I would have had done is I would have had the Iron Horde winning, right? The Iron Horde is just crushing everything in their path, absolutely blitzing through everything. They are almost an unstoppable force. Now, you're all going to hate me for this, because everyone did last time I said this, but I want you to picture for a moment.
What's on your mind?
Durotan, okay? What do you think is his primary character trait? Now, people are going to disagree on this, but my answer to this was his primary character trait is his determination. His willingness to do whatever is necessary in order to accomplish what needs to happen, okay?
You got my attention.
So, in my version...
Watch your back.
Gul'dan ended up being a... What? Oh, right. Gul'dan ended up being a form of an ally instead of an enemy. Now, again, I know you're probably looking at me like, I don't understand what you mean by that. Imagine if Gul'dan, in all his ambition and all his drive, was driven to master fell power and arcane power and all that, but not actually to serve the Legion. What if Durotan was the one who ended up making the bargain with the Legion? Now, again, you're probably looking at me like, how the hell would he ever do that? Well, actually, that's an easy answer. What do desperate men who have the will to do uncomfortable things do when they are backed into a corner? Rather than Gul'dan dooming the Horde to, you know, an eternity of servitude to the Legion because he wanted power, Durotan dooms the Horde to the Legion because he is desperate and afraid. It's kind of the Londo Mollari situation, although I shouldn't talk too much about... I shouldn't talk about that too much in detail. I don't want to spoil Babylon 5 here. The point being, he was backed into a corner, had no possible way to win, and for the sake of his people, for the sake of his, you know, unborn son, for the sake of his wife and all of that, he willingly made the bargain, drank of the demon's blood, and was willing to fight back against the Iron Horde and starts pushing back the Iron Horde. And this is when Gul'dan... I want to stress this. Gul'dan is not a good guy, in my interpretation. Rather, Gul'dan is a temporary ally, I think is probably the best way to put that. Someone with cunning and intellect and power who happens to want the same thing we want right now. So not actually... I'm in the wrong place. So not actually a good guy and not even really on our side so much as we happen to have the same goals right now. You with me? So Gul'dan and us would have ended up, you know, our player group would have ended up fighting against the new demonic horde of him, and we would basically be losing nonstop. Well, throughout the course of this, someone would come through the portal and talk about the events that were happening, that had happened, I should say, back in our timeline, you know, in our Azeroth. In other words, that person would be Anduin. And Anduin would be talking to alternate Valen. And alternate Valen would be like, so tell me more about these demon hunters. The idea, the way this would work, is they realize they need someone who is capable and strong at fighting the Legion, because Durotan may have actually tried to save his people by giving into the Legion and all that fun stuff. But the long-term goals for the Legion was to renew the invasion into on Harvard? No, I did not know that. Where the heck is this guy? Hang on. I thought there was a guy all the way in here. I must have just missed him. Whatever. But yeah, exactly, Darsh Monster. The only one who really knew how to fight the demons was Illidan. And alternate Valen would hear about Illidan from Anduin. Now, our Illidan is dead. I would maintain that. Our Illidan is absolutely 100% dead. But alternate Illidan is the one who is actually still imprisoned because the events of Warcraft 1 never happened. So the events of Warcraft 2 never happened. So the events of Warcraft 3 never happened. So he's just still there, imprisoned, and I'm lost. Hang on. I saw it. It was further back up. A plan is hatched, and we would have a dungeon, a 5-man dungeon, where we go back and go through the alternate... I forget what it's called, but the Warden's Den, where Illidan is being captured, and we go in to free him, right? Now, this is actually another little tidbit I had here. So, alternate Maiev would end up coming back and you know, trying to bring Illidan back, because alternate Maiev was just as driven as Maiev was, right? Well, the one little sniggling detail I would have here is word would come out about the fact that alternate Illidan was released. And our Maiev, the Maiev who was completely just lost her mind, insane, obsessed with Illidan, with torturing him forever. That's true, and even in our actual current real lore, by the way. She literally drags his corpse back to prison so his corpse can suffer his punishment forever. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Our Maiev would find out about how there is an Illidan about there. You know, it may be alternate Illidan, but it doesn't matter. He's free, and that is unacceptable. So we would the next major instance I would have, after several quests lead up to it, of course, would involve going after... Oh, it's a respawn. That's what I'm waiting there. Yeah, I'm literally just waiting on a respawn. That's what I thought. Anyway, so we would have another instance that leads up to a major cinematic event where basically Illidan, who is still weakened at this point in time, is captured by our... Alternate Illidan is captured by Maiev, and then we go in with alternate Maiev in order to try and rescue Illidan, because we have to. At the end, we would see we would see our Maiev, and Illidan would see our Maiev, and alternate Maiev would see Maiev. And they would see just how insanely, ridiculously obsessed she had become. And this would have a changing effect on two separate people. First of all, alternate Maiev would see just how crazy she would become if she allowed her obsession and fixation to control her, and she would back off a bit, basically. She would become a significantly less, you know, she would be tempered a little bit, right? She would no longer be this insane, ridiculous person. It doesn't matter, King Bubble. Or I guess I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but that's not a part of the story I was doing, and I'll discuss why in a moment. Alternate Illidan sees this and sees mirrored in the original Maiev his own flaws, his own problems. In other words, alternate Illidan realizes that if he continues to fixate and obsess on his goal and his intentions for power and for greater strength, he will turn out just like alternate Maiev did. He will become just as much of a deranged monster as original Maiev did, and he will become just as much of a deranged monster as she does. This proves to be the thing that helps alternate Illidan start to recover himself and start to have a reason to start actually turning back into a good guy, basically, if you're following me. Now, hey, Night Forger. So, with his transfer, he would also be interacting a lot with Anduin, by the way. So Anduin and alternate Illidan would both basically become fairly good friends, and both would have a bit of a measured effect on each other. Anduin would become a little bit more willing to make hard choices. Illidan would become a little bit more willing to be diplomatic and a more peacetime leader. Between the two of them, we have one solid leader for the new organization that would be the big thing for the next expansion, which is referred to as the Army of Light. The Army of Light, of course, is a neutral organization, a new faction, basically, that you could, in gameplay terms, actually turn your character into. Just say, I'm no longer going to be Horde, I'm no longer going to be I'm no longer going to be Alliance. I'm actually going to be a part of the Army of Light from now on. So quest-wise, you would actually be flagged positive for both sides. That means, unless you entered a specific battleground or arena, you would never be able to PvP again, because you couldn't actually do world PvP ever again. However, you would still be able to do all the quests of both sides, and you would still be able to interact with both sides. So, and that, of course, would lead into the next expansion, which is going to be all about the Legion. And there are going to be two new classes that are going to be introduced as part of this. One is obviously Demon Hunter, thanks to Illidan. The other was going to be Warden, thanks to Maiev. Now, the final thing, I actually already talked about this, was the merger idea. The two timelines re-merged into one, and for the most part, all of the individuals merged back into their original selves. This would also be a way to continue Jaina's storyline. Have her, have her refuse to merge with her alternate self, thus allowing her alternate self to see just how bad the other, the original her has become. And, figure out, excuse me, oh, there he is, finally, God. And alter herself, and tried to go down a little bit of a different path as a result of that. And again, just development and changing of her character, that kind of a thing. You could do that, Darch. Shrug. I don't know what else to say to that. Either way, that was my general idea of the Army of Light, and how I would have done Warlords. And thus, the overall point of Warlords would be, we go to the past, and we do actually alter the past, but those changes then get merged back into the existing timeline, which enables not really a complete change of the status quo. All of history hasn't been changed, but there are a few differences when we get back to Azeroth. And we have this new organization founded by individuals from both timelines who are dedicated solely towards being the freaking good guys, also known as the People with a Brain organization, I believe someone in chat mentioned. I forget exactly what it was. It was like, those who insist on using their brains, that kind of a thing. I'm tired of this. Go away. So yeah, that's what I would have done with Warlords. Just my take on it. Finally done with that stupid quest I was sitting on for forever. God almighty, BC quests, I'm telling you guys. Ugh, BC quests. I love this game so much, but every time I go back through Outland, it's like... why? Oh my god, why am I doing this again? Let's go do a couple of Alliance-only quests. Then I'm going to do some off-camera stuff, I think, in preparation for tomorrow. But first we're going to do some Alliance storyline stuff. So remember these Unyielding? These poor, poor Unyielding? Whoop, what's this? I will never like 5 characters more than Roxas. So I already kind of discussed most of the lore of these guys when we were here last time on our Horde character. I do have to admit this has got to be a bit of an unusual situation. Remember, this is a good example of the detriments of being a Type 2 undead. You don't really have the ability to distinguish between friend and foe. All you can really tell is that there's someone there, and in some cases you can tell that they're living, and in both cases you absolutely hate them because they are there and they are living, and that's just unacceptable. I mean, screw them. How dare they actually still have a pulse? Now that sounds like a joke, but it's actually kind of serious. It's just very, very common in a lot of forms of fiction. The dead tend to envy the living and are very, very jealous in a violent way of the fact that the living are living. So, that's exactly the situation these guys have here. It's entirely possible that these Unyielding, even if they knew these were the knights, their own brethren, by the way, these knights who are here are soldiers who were part of the Sons of Lothar, part of the expedition that came into here during the opening of the Dark Portal expansion to Warcraft 2. And they just don't care. Like, you are still alive and I am not, and that's the part that matters. That's kind of what happens when you get kind of killed in a horrible, merciless way by evil, horrible creatures, like the Death Knights in this case, the original Death Knights, Gorfiend's group. The Death Riders? I forget what they actually call them. We actually will see them when we get to Shadowmoon Valley, and then we will kill them, because they're horrible, terrible creatures. Bragwin, do you mind giving a permission to Nightforger really quick? Where is it? Oh, that's right there. Yay, got the book. Or Deutsch, I don't care who. Somebody. As long as they've got great hips, I'm okay with whatever. I have to admit the Warbear suits the Worgen quite well. Ah! I almost banned a Deutsch trying to click that thing. Pretty cool, Nightforger. Were these spirits corrupted? No. These spirits were just killed badly. Again, these are Type 2 spirits, also known as natural undead. Or Type 2 undead, also known as natural undead. These just about anything that is killed badly, you know, killed in war, or killed in an unfair fight, or murdered as they slept, you know, that kind of a thing, tends to leave a really bad resonating impact. So these creatures, these poor, poor people, basically can't rest properly. They are not at peace with what happened to them because of how they were tortured and killed. It's kind of an understandable concept, really. Now, there is such a thing as corrupted spirits. You know, that's a thing in this setting, but these are not among those. I'll point those out as we encounter them, because we will be encountering them later on. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. I was made fun of today. Why are you still doing that lore run? And I said, it's a WoW lore run. And they said, oh. And that's all they said. Because they understood. In that moment, they saw the nightmarish, unyielding death that lay before me. And they wept. Hey, Luke. What's up? I'd say where you've been, but I think you just answered my question before I asked it. Let's eat for a little bit. Where did I put those? There. The good news is, in mere moments, I will be 60, which means things will speed up, I'll be able to fly, and of course, most importantly of all, I'll get a big ding. Oh, no, I completely forgot. Hang on. Hang on, guys. There's something I need to do. This is very, very important. You guys have no idea how important this is. Because I told someone I'd do this, and I tend to be a man of my word. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. So... yeah, tell me about it, Luke. I hate going to college. Okay. So, you're all going to make fun of me for this, but I did tell someone I'd do this. So, sorry in advance. Red Faction sort of has lore. I could probably go over it in a day. Possibly not even that long. It's mostly about how, you know, the colonists are being, there it is, level 60. Ding! Hang on, hang on. The moment I ding, we're gonna do it. Hang on, where's... there we go. Hang on, we're gonna wait for those abilities. We just got like 5 abilities. Come on, come on, scroll off so we can... yes, we've unlocked Molten Core! Guys, we can go to Molten Core! Yes! Okay, seriously, stop telling me the stuff I unlocked. Okay. There we go. Now let's go kill that guy. I was taking a selfie! Excuse me! So I said I'd take a selfie every level, every ding. I kind of spaced on doing that on my Blood Elf. So from now on, I'm going to be taking a selfie every ding the moment I take it. So the actual exact second, or the exact spot I'm in when I level. I'm going to stop everything and immediately take a selfie. Just like I just did. Even if it gets me killed. I should have gone to human form just for that. Oop, wrong thing. What do you guys think? Should I have gone to human form? There it is. Then I could have been like this. Hi. The reason people usually give... yeah, no kidding, Equalitus. The reason people usually give for hating things like selfies is because of the fact that that takes development time away from real content. And that is a fair point. I think it's harmless fun, especially given how relatively quick and easy it is to to code that kind of a thing. But I do get their point, and I'm not going to argue it. My, what big teeth you have, Mr. Xylom. Right, I can't fly yet. Neither are really close to it, Squidgeared. I would probably say Blood Elves are closer, though. Oh, we're going to Molten Core right now as Unix, and we're going to do it at level 60 by ourselves because we're insane, and because we want to suffer as much as humanly possible. I would really like to ensure that we spend the next 4 hours slogging through Molten Core, wiping over and over, just so you guys get the full experience of how freaking terrible Molten Core actually was. So what am I doing? I am hitting that button. Well, there's a difference between insanity and dull boredom. So we're not doing that. We are going to be a little bit boring for the moment because we have to be... yeah, we have to do something here. Now, if I'm lucky, there's a thing that'll help me out, but I don't think that I'm lucky. We'll find out in a second. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, we're not lucky. We're not lucky. Alright, so who wants to sing 99 million bottles of beer on the wall? Oh my god, this is going to be a bit of a trip. Is there a faster way to do this? No, there really isn't, is there? Okay, whatever. To Stormwind. This is going to be a long flight. This is why I should have hearthed while I was in Stormwind. And I have sort of screwed things up. Read a cookbook in a Dwarven accent. Hang on, let me pull up a recipe really quick. Cheesecake. It's the first thing that came to mind, because I'm hungry. Okay. Preheat the oven to 475 degrees. Place a large pan filled with half an inch of water in the oven. To make the crust, you have to mix graham crackers, crumbs, and cinnamon, and add some margarine. I'm losing my accent. Press crust into the bottom and 2/3 of the way up a 9-inch spring-form pan lined with parchment. Wrap a large piece of foil around the bottom of the pan. Freeze until fitting is prepared. To make the filling, you need to use an electric mixer in order to mix the cream cheese, the sugar, the sour cream, and the vanilla. Blend until smooth and creamy. You know the kind like Mama used to make. Oh yeah. Scrape down the sides of the bowl. Whisk eggs into the bowl. Add cream cheese to the mixture. Blend until the eggs are incorporated. Remove crust from the freezer and pour the filling in. Carefully place cheesecake in the preheated water bath. Bath? Really? Bake for 12 minutes. Turn the oven to 350 and bake until top of cheesecake turns golden. 50 to 60 minutes, give or take. Make sure to drink lots and lots of booze while you're waiting for the 50 or 60 minutes for it to cake. Also, pour booze over the cheesecake. It'll make it taste way better. Remove the cake to a wire rack to make it cool. And then you have cheesecake. Oh god, I could have gone through the dark portal. You're right. I am so stupid. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about going through the dark portal. There's nothing I can do about it now. I'm on the flight path. Actually, you know what? There is something I can do about it. This may sound weird, but trust me, I'm doing something here. So this is the hinterlands that we're flying over right now. This has been both a cool and a terrible zone. I remember when Jinwath over there was one of the most terrible, just I hated it sections ever. Now it's actually pretty awesome. No, Nicholas. There's also one of the trees connecting to the Emerald Dream, which has basically never mattered. And of course, this is where the Wildhammer dwarves make their roost, more or less literally. There kind of is a dismount button. You'll see what I mean in a second. All you have to do is log offline while in flight. And it will disconnect you at the next juncture that you're flying to. Unfortunately, it looks like that is not the Arathi Highlands for me, which it kind of should have been. Oh no, I'm Alliance. Right, I'm stupid. I kept thinking that I was Horde. So because I'm so used to being Horde, so I'm... Huh. I have never seen that, Nicholas. Apparently, there's now a thing, rather than it logging off and on, you can just hit a request land at the next available flight master, which does the exact same thing. I really didn't know that was a thing. Wow. Learn something every day. 150 billion U.S. Kensington hours, roughly. Okay, so hopefully this takes me back to Outland. If this doesn't take me back to Outland, we're screwed. You can tell I haven't used flight paths in a while. Now I'm just waiting on a cooldown right now. My Hearthstone? Let's see. Where is my Hearthstone, Permeus? It's in my bag somewhere. I mean, surely I got a Hearthstone, right? I don't have a Hearthstone, Permeus. So, back to the flight path. We're here for you. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the local recording so our people on YouTube don't have to see me being an idiot. I mean, you've already seen me be an idiot. You know the terrible truth. I am, in truth, an idiot. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's like any big thing I could discuss while I'm doing this. I could discuss about how flight paths used to be much, much worse. Anyone remember when there was no connecting flight paths? You had to go through each hop individually. Anyone remember those days? Where you had to be like, all right, I want to go from, you know, up here to up here. So I have to fly here. So I click here. Then I click here. Then I click here. And then I click here. And then I click here. And then I click here. Alright, I'll talk about Worgens just because Hylas keeps wanting me to. Worgens are werewolves. I'm not even sure the tram would be faster at this point. It might be. We'll go and assume it is. What, you want more about the Worgen? Okay. So the Worgen are really cool werewolves. They're actually magical werewolves. What? Okay, in all sincerity, there's actually a little bit of inconsistency in the lore as to what exactly the Worgen are. Basically, there's two conflicting stories that don't really gel with each other. One of them is that there's this alien world that is filled with Worgen, and that they are where the Worgen came from, and that the Scythe of Elune basically opened a portal to that world, and that's how the Worgen curse started. The other side of the things, which I agree with, is that the Scythe of Elune actually caused the Worgen curse. It is referred to as a curse, but it's actually intended as a boon, which actually makes sense when you actually think about it, because the whole point of the Worgen curse is you're capable of being much stronger and much more defendable and much better in a fight. That was the whole point. We need warriors, we need fighters, we need living weapons right now. Bam! And so then we have these Worgen as a result of that. And that's exactly what we got, thanks to the Scythe of Elune. There's more to it than that. I really would like to wait on that, though, because otherwise I really don't want to go through the Worgen starter zone and have nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? It's funny you ask that, Ajunix. So, back in the day, the flight system was terrible. And if you started off as a human, getting to Ironforge either involved a mage or a really long run through a lot of very high-level zones, including the Burning Steppes and the Searing Gorge. Now, I've done that run. There are other ways around it, but that was like that was the only way to make that happen, right? That was the only thing you could do to make that happen. So they implemented the tram in order to get you up there. Not too long after that, they implemented the boat system, where you could take a boat from Stormwind to Menethil Harbor, for example, and therefore the boat from Menethil Harbor over to Theramore. But back in the day, the only real reliable way to get from Ironforge to Stormwind was taking the damn tram. Somewhere along the line, they started just giving Lobies the flight path for Stormwind and Ironforge, regardless of which one you were, so you could just fly back and forth. So nowadays, the tram has no purpose in existing. But in lore, the tram is actually still a very relevant thing. After all, Ironforge and Stormwind are very, very closely connected to each other, right? I don't just mean physically. They're actually quite apart physically, but I mean economically, politically, militarily, diplomatically. So in order to do mass transit and mass trade between the two cities, that tram is invaluable. That's the difference between... Okay, yeah, that's the difference between being able to drive a car place to place and having a train that carries goods back and forth between place and place, if you follow. So it's funny because the tram makes perfect sense in lore and has tons of relevance to the story and the setting and keeping these two cities together. And in gameplay, basically doesn't matter at all. I used to know the answer to that, Isaac, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Yes, I know it has the brawling thing. I don't care. Its only purpose is the brawling thing, and the lore relevance that I already mentioned. We'll be showing off the tram, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I imagine new players are like, what the hell's the tram? What are you talking about, Arsh? Well, I suppose we'll leave this recording for YouTube just as well, because not only was I talking about the Worgen briefly, but I was also talking about the tram, which we're going to showcase. I'd just like to say, I'm going to talk about Ironforge a lot more later, probably on our dwarf character. That would be Deutsch, by the way. But I like Ironforge. This is among my favorite cities in this game. If asked to live a normal life, you know, no heroism, no big adventuring, but if there was a city I had to just settle down in and live an ordinary, you know, day-to-day life in, Ironforge is one of my first picks for that. This feels like a great place to live for me. And I would really get along with the Dwarven society in general, and the idea of, you know, good food and good company and warm things, and everything's indoors and you can walk everywhere. It just feels like a place that I would really enjoy living in, you know what I mean? Go ahead, Ojunix. Yes, our Dwarven hunter will be named Deutsch. And he will be going through Ironforge. In a box! No, I kid. Yeah, no kidding, Isaac. For those of you not aware, back in the day, there was only one auction house per side, and the Alliance one was in Ironforge. So everyone in the entire universe hung out in Ironforge. What do you mean, what happened to Dalaran? I don't quite get that question there. The old Goblin City. No. So this is the tram in action. It's fully technological. There's no Magitech involved here. It's run by magnets, actually, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I'm going to just show this off because I don't feel like tabbing off to fix the stream really quick. Actually, I can do it like really quick if I do that. So, give it a moment. Come on, come on, come on. You actually can see some sights. I'm going to try to show them off. It's really hard to show them off live because of the fact that they're going to be zooming past so quickly. But as you can see, we're actually kind of going through this underwater section here. There's the other thing. There's a thing. There's a Naga down there. There's also Nessie. That is to say, the Loch Ness Monster is down there as well, which is kind of cool. Wow, what the hell are you doing, Twitch? Holy crap. My connection to Twitch is absolutely terrible right now. I don't know what they're doing or what's going on with their servers. That's fully on their end, too. I can see it right there. Christ, you're probably getting tons of frame drops on the stream. I'm not sure who you're talking about, Nicholas, exactly. So that was the tram. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I have like 30% packet loss right now. This is insane. I don't know what the hell Twitch is doing right now. Hey, Stormwind. Is there like a big event going on? That's usually the reason everything goes to hell. Nope. No big events going on at all. Twitch is just screwy. Yeah, I'm actually up to 40% dropped frames right now. That is crazy. Yeah, you'll see it in about a month and a half, Samurai. Yeah. Good lord. Yeah, my dropped frames are getting worse. What are you doing, Twitch? Whatever. Nothing I can do about it. So for our viewers at home watching this on YouTube, obviously this is Stormwind. I will be actually discussing Stormwind a little bit more a couple other times. Notably when we go through here... actually, we won't be doing that, will we? We'll be doing that when we go through on our human at the very least. Oh, you're talking about... Hang on, I wrote her name down. Nicholas. That would have been... Oh, I didn't write down her name. The woman who cursed Grim Batol. I didn't write down her name, but I know who you're talking about.
How are you?
Oh,
Safe travels.
Nope.
Great to meet you.
Okay. God, we're still dropping frames. What are you doing, Twitch?
See you soon.
Whatever.
What can I do for you?
I would like to be able to fly, ma'am.
Safe
Please and
travels.
thank you. Yay. And yes, Deutsch is correct. The VOD will be just as screwed up because this is going to Twitch, and therefore Twitch is not going to have things, and it's terrible. So, screw us. But the first thing I'm going to do is Hearth here. Because, goddammit, I would like to make this in my home. There we go. I have received a new item. A Hearthstone. What a novel concept. But there is one thing I know you guys want to see before I move on. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I've been Alliance. Where's the transmog guys in Stormwind? I have this weird feeling they're over here, but I'm not actually sure. Nicholas, I officially don't know who you're talking about. If you're not talking about the woman at Grim Batol during the War of the Three Hammers, I do not know who you're talking about. Okay, so this is a neat feature. Hey,
honor, friend.
Soldier, where do I find the transmogrifier? They have set up shop in Stormwind along the canal south of the Cathedral Square.
Be careful.
Thank you. And then it puts a little marker on your map exactly where it is. So I can go straight over here. Right over here, I'm guessing? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yep, I can see the ethereal stuff all over the place. Behold! So, because we have been tasked with being transmogged, because money has paid for those transmogs, we will do that really quick here. There we go. And we now have our transmog suit going. Yay. Trying to think, there's something else I wanted to do here while I was here. Whatever, I'm going to go and do that off camera. I'm going to go and shut this off. So, I will catch all of you guys tomorrow when I swear we'll actually finish Hellfire Peninsula. And then, I guess we'll continue on with Zangarmarsh. So, see you around, guys.